Stories this hour. Over a dozen people have died and 31 others have been seriously injured in car crashes involving pedestrians this year. That puts Utah on track to have one of its worst years for auto pedestrian accidents in recent history. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson has been trying to figure out why.
After every serious crash UDOT reviews, was this a product of bad driver behavior, or do we need to make changes to make our roadways safer? Alessandro Rigolone, associate professor at the University of Utah's Department of City and Metropolitan Planning, tells me they try to take poor driver behavior into account when designing roadways.
We need to design streets anticipating the types of mistakes people will do and making sure that if those mistakes happen, the severity of those crashes does not lead to permanent health issues or to death.
He says city planners also look at things like how wide the road is or how long the block is, because that might impact where pedestrians want to cross versus where they should cross. And while it's important to educate drivers and tell pedestrians to wear reflective clothing, Rigolone says that only goes so far in preventing these types of accidents. Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Family members are also remembering two young boys killed in a car crash in Ogden.
Israel was 11. He was a good boy. He was bringing good grades to his dad. And Jaimito, he's his little junior, He looks exactly like his father.
Jessica Pantoja tells KSL her cousin was just out enjoying an afternoon with his wife and kids when they were hit by another car. Police say that car had been stolen and it was being driven by a 14-year-old boy who was trying to get away from officers. Your money at this moment. Markets are up right now. Dow currently up 375 points. S&P 500 up 32. The NASDAQ is up 57. Price of oil, though, continues to rise as well, up $2.18 now, just over $101 per barrel. Coming up, warm and sunny again today, but a big change in the weather is on its way. Take a look at your forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment. And they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, zero timers to reset, zero downtime, and uses 70% less salt. It's a higher standard of engineering that completely removes the hassle of owning a water softener.
That's what I love about my Kinetico. Dee and I never have to even think about it. We occasionally add a bag of salt and it just works, and I've never had to set or adjust anything. Do what I did and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Time for traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
We do still see these northbound I-15 delays. They are breaking up and easing out, though. It's a little slow approaching Bangalore Highway, and then again at 7200 south in Midvale up to just about 5300 south in Murray. And eastbound delays in Lehigh Pioneer Crossing, still heavy and slow trying to get onto I-15. And in going from Davis County into Weber County, we do have a crash at the off-ramp to Riverdale Road from northbound I-15, blocking a right shoulder. We don't see any major delays behind them. Celebrate Easter at Abravanel Hall March 30th. Join Grammy-nominated Jenny Oaks Baker and experience The Redeemer, a breathtaking musical journey honoring Jesus Christ. Save 15% with code RISEN15 at jennyoaksbaker.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Look for partly cloudy skies today, but warm with highs in the lower 70s, and then a cold front will start to move in later tonight, bringing in some showers, and those showers will expected to continue into tomorrow. Could be seeing rain as late as Thursday. Right now it's 61 degrees, partly cloudy skies from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I'll tell you what, Holly, Friday afternoon along the Wasatch Front, there were 3 just incredible accidents or injuries involving vehicles. I was personally witnessed one. I was going northbound on I-15, just about to the Woods Cross exit. 2 cars were involved in what looked like a road rage incident. Wow. They collided. They slapped each other. And the car, I mean, it was literally right in front of me. One of the cars rolled 3 times.
Wow.
And the driver came out. He was alive. It was nuts. And the other driver just took off. We never saw him again. Wow. I stuck around until law enforcement and medics came. The driver was seemingly okay, but I mean, he rolled. He was bloody and it was a mess. And then that was about 3:00 Friday. 5:00 Friday, there's an officer-involved shooting in Murray. A police officer gets rear-ended by a suspect. He pulls over, gets out of his car, and the suspect approaches him. This is Highway Patrol again, and he pulls a knife on the officer. The officer pulls his gun and shoots the suspect, killing him. That closed the road for a while. But what was really troubling was what happened in Ogden that evening. There was a high-speed chase. A car was stolen by apparently, it looks like, 2 14-year-old boys. They are approached by law enforcement. They start driving away. This is in the 2800 block of Quincy Avenue in Ogden. They don't stop. They pull away. They leave at a high speed, and they collide with a vehicle carrying 2 adults and 6 children. An 11-year-old was from the victim car was thrown and killed. A few hours later, his 7-year-old brother was also pronounced dead. I mean, this is about as tragic as it could be.
Unbelievably tragic. It just having to grieve 2 children passing away the same weekend, and they were just out for a drive, a family drive.
I know.
Right? It's just, to me, it's just unspeakably tragic.
And you know, here's more from KSL's Andrew Adams about this particular one in Ogden.
Family members just informed us that a 7-year-old boy was just taken off of life support. He's been identified by family members as 7-year-old Jaimito Vasquez. His 11-year-old brother Israel, we're told, was ejected Friday night and also died because of this crash. Now, obviously, a lot of emotion at this scene with this memorial across the street from me here. We want to show you what this looked like on Friday night when we got out to the scene. According to Ogden police, this started around 7:45 that night when officers spotted a stolen car in the 2800 block of Quincy Avenue. When officers tried to stop that car, they say the driver sped away, striking a police car and then continued to travel at high speeds until crashing into a car here at 31st and Grant Avenue. Investigators say the stolen car was being driven by a 14-year-old boy. There was another 14-year-old with him. They both had to be hospitalized. The family of the two deceased Vasquez boys says this afternoon they're grateful for support from the community as they seek more answers.
We asked for justice and for the community to send as many prayers positive, because he's grieving now, losing 2 children. He's an amazing dad. Him and his wife need all the support.
Well, family members saying their loved ones were headed back from a soccer game at the park when they were hit here. Police in a statement Friday called it an extraordinarily devastating incident and that they're grieving for the victim's family. Police in that statement say because of the scope and the complexity of the investigation, they're not releasing any more information. We did check in with a police spokesman again today, and he referred back to that original statement.
Again, just unbelievably tragic. And look, I've got a couple of questions. So you have 14-year-olds who steal a car, go for a joyride, end up killing 2 people. What are the consequences for them?
Yeah, so 14 is the bare minimum age for which a child could be potentially brought into the adult system. In this particular case, I don't know that they would, because the juvenile court can technically take jurisdiction of them until they're 25, and I think that most people would feel that 11 years could potentially be significant or enough, I should say. I don't know. They typically don't bring 14-year-olds into the adult system. It's usually the 16, 17-year-olds. Those are on the cusp of turning 18, and it has to be a serious crime. This would be a serious crime, an auto theft and probably at least a manslaughter charge against the driver, and the passenger may be charged as well as an accessory to both of those. I'm sure they're going to be, after they're released from the hospital, they're going to be taken into youth custody there in Weber County.
So do we know any more about that situation? So they haven't been charged with anything because they're still in the hospital?
Right. They after the crash, they were both hospitalized. We don't know. I'm looking at the latest report, which came down, the 28th in the evening, or actually the 30th this morning at about 7 a.m. That's when they officially announced that the other brother had died. The 2 suspects are probably still in the hospital, although law enforcement will be waiting for them when they're prepared to be released, and will take them into custody, I'm sure. I mean, Weber County Metro Crash Reconstruction Team is looking into it, trying to decide what was going on, but it sounds to me like a stolen car, high-speed chase, blowing into a vehicle that has 6 people in it is just tragic. And you would also think that law enforcement is going to be questioned, hopefully not deservedly so, but sometimes when police get involved in a high-speed chase, they're also sort of looked at as whether it was necessary to do that.
Is that a residential area? I'm not as familiar with Weber County.
Yeah, 2800 block of Quincy Avenue is pretty well, it's kind of a little bit more west area, Ogden, but there are a lot of people in that area. It would be a fairly populous area. And that time of day, 7:45 p.m. on a Friday night, there's going to be a lot of people. I think
it's going to be busy.
Yeah. There was only a matter of time before somebody would have been hurt.
Is there any potential consequence for parents of these 14-year-olds?
You know, if it's a stolen vehicle, if they stole it from mom and dad left the keys out and have let them drive it in the past, that's one thing. They would be responsible. But if they just stole a car from some unwitting victim, and mom and dad had nothing to do with it or didn't know about it, then they wouldn't face consequences. But yes, you could, if the parents were in any way involved in getting these kids behind the wheel of that car, they would have consequences without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. So the family of the victims who have passed away, they do have a GoFundMe, and they say on there, "We are heartbroken and trying to process the sudden loss and facing unimaginable pain, grief, and shock. No words can truly capture the heartbreak of losing someone so young, so loved, and full of life." And I'll just say, having lost children myself, not simultaneously, but the shock that comes, like, you can't even process the information.
And you only have to look at the pictures of these little boys to know what this family is suffering. I mean, the cutest kids in the world, 7 and 11-year-old kids just minding their own business, sitting in a car, involved in a high-speed crash. One is thrown from the car and died almost immediately, it sounds like. The other one died in the hospital several hours later. A lot to sort out here because there are victims in both cars.
Yep.
The age of the driver, the age of the suspect, the age of the victims, a lot will be taken into account here. And I'm sure we'll get some more information about that as the week goes on.
All right. Well, on a little piece of good news, nobody died at the No Kings rally in Salt Lake City, so that was good. Thousands did participate, however, and we're going to talk to a reporter who was live on scene to walk us through what unfolded and the different groups who showed up. It's kind of a fun story. Stay with us.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Wellness starts at home. At Arctic Spas, we have what you need for home wellness. Hot tubs provide physical and mental relaxation, improve circulation, and stimulate better sleep, all while giving the perfect time to connect with loved ones. Swim spas and all-weather pools provide at-home, low-impact exercise, a break from gravity, and family fun. Cold tubs provide muscle recovery, reduce soreness, and provide the best mental boost. Saunas help you recover, detox, and improve your cardiovascular health. This can all be done at your home, ready whenever you are, and you can find it all at Arctic Spas. We are here to help you relax, exercise, and recover. We make it easy for you. You can find out more at ArcticSpasUtah.com or stop by one of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Can you hear it? That's the sound of nature waking up in Box Elder County. Spring has sprung, and the first visitors are already here. From grebes to geese, Bear River Bird Refuge is alive with the sound of thousands of wings. And it's not just the birds who are invited. There's plenty for you to enjoy. Experience the world-class minerals at Crystal Hot Springs. Stand on the spot where the railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation at Golden Spike National Historic Park. Check out the jaw-dropping murals up and down Tremonton's charming Main Street. The list goes on and on. Hungry? From fine dining to classic comfort food, Box Elder County has something that's sure to hit the spot. In Box Elder County, the air is fresher, the sky is wider, and spring is in full bloom. Come wake up your senses and plan your spring escape at visitboxeldercounty.com. Produced in partnership with the Utah Office of Tourism.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
How was your break? It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code THRIVE25 for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code THRIVE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's THRIVE25.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad. And I feel very proud to be his son.
I was what he needed, and he was what I needed. every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So, in good news, nobody died at this weekend's No Kings rally.
And there were thousands here in Utah, and I think millions nationwide.
Across the country.
It was huge. Some of the shots I've seen of
there
the
were
video.
There were over 3,100 organized protests, but one of them was in downtown Salt Lake. One woman who showed up had also protested the Vietnam War in the 1960s, and I thought this was really cute. She showed up with a couple of her friends wearing Grannies for Government T-shirts.
Grannies for Good Government.
Good Government. Yeah. Grannies for Good Government
Good
T-shirts.
For her.
So I didn't attend the rally. My Saturdays are so busy. But I did have a child who went. She also was at the one in June where Afa Alu was shot and killed, unfortunately. And so it was a much better experience for her.
Yeah, and if you recall, I was the attorney for Arturo Gamboa, who was shot during that event. He was taken into custody. He was never charged, but the person who shot him, Matthew Scott Alder, was charged with manslaughter for killing of Afa Alu and for other things that he had done. I think he shot the gun a couple of times. So that was tragic. And for me, it just soured me on No Kings. I'll just be honest. I have no desire to go to that. I'm glad people do, and I'm glad it's so well supported.
So that's part of the conversation, right? Is there were a lot of discussions before Saturday's rally about safety, right? Multiple groups too. So we have on the line with us Eva Terry. She's a Deseret News reporter who was there. And Eva, thanks for joining us this morning.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me.
I will just tell you right off the bat that one of the things that I saw that really stood out to me from your article is people had protest songbooks. I don't even know what that is. What's a protest songbook?
Yeah, so I was getting flashbacks from girls' camp. If you're familiar with girls' camp, it was so they were pretty big. So they had like probably 15, 20 pages in them, and then they had songs that like people know the tunes to with alternate lyrics. So one of them was This Little Light of Mine, and they inserted different lyrics that were anti-Trump or anti-fascist. And they had a bunch of them. And then they had people calling out chants as they walked up from Washington Square to the Capitol, and they had those in those books as well.
Ava, have you attended any of these in the past?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
I was going to ask.
I have covered. Yeah. I've covered quite a few of them, and this one was a lot bigger than the last ones. I think they said about like 8,000 people were in attendance just in Salt Lake, and across the country there were more than 3,000. But I was shocked at how many people that there were who went to the Salt Lake one.
Was it pretty well behaved? I mean, what were the crowds like?
Yeah, it was pretty well behaved. I didn't see anything that was violent or... I mean, the signs themselves, a lot of the signs have violent slogans. I mean, I'm sure you've seen photos of them. Like, a lot of them have pictures of Trump with his head. Like, they're just violent signs. So, I mean, the people themselves were very chill, and a lot of them were really sweet. Like, I talked to a lot of older people who were there, and they're just, like, happy older people, which was fun to talk to them. But, that was generally the vibe.
Well, Greg and I are happy older people, too. So what kind of groups were there, Eva?
So the people who were running it, they had a student group from the University of Utah. They had their Mecca chapter. And they spoke. So Samantha Reagan spoke, and then there were people from the Democratic Socialists of America, specifically the Salt Lake chapter, who were leading chants. And then besides that, it was interesting. Like, there was a lot of advertising for this. Like, a $1 million campaign went out last Monday. So people were well aware, if they were in these communities where they're, like, likely to go, they heard about it. And so a lot of the people I talked to were, like, friends from book clubs or friends in climbing groups or, like, hiking groups who just, like, went with their friends. So there were a lot of people like that, and then there were a lot of more organized like political movements who were there, like the Democratic Socialists of America and like ACL, like U of Utah, League of Women Voters of Utah, Mormons with Hope. There were a lot of organized groups, but there were also just a lot of people who went on their own.
What can you tell us about the security, specifically Salt Lake Police presence or any other police agencies that may have been present there?
Yeah, so I saw, because I walked up with them and just chatted with people on the way up to the Capitol. So they had police blocking off the roads, so they had police cars blocking off the roads. I also noticed security drones in a couple of places, up by the Capitol and then just also in the city. So there was surveillance from above just to make sure there wasn't anything too crazy going on, and then there were police actually on the ground as well.
So, Eva, did you feel like this was relatively well organized? Did it feel kind of chaotic, or were people just, happy to be there?
It was so well organized. That's something that I really came away with, whoa, people put a lot of work into this, especially with, they had water. I didn't see any water myself, but they said they had water for people who were protesting. They also had those songbooks for everyone. It ran really smoothly. It was a massive amount of people. But yeah, I think it was very well organized.
From the video that I saw, I agree with you on a lot of things, Ava, but my wife and I were looking at it and thought that there were some signs that were over the top, a little bit inappropriate, that
I totally agree.
Encouraged violence. Otherwise, it seemed to be a pretty calm, very well organized and
right.
peaceful event.
Right. I thought it was a very funny kind of juxtaposition between protesters that were pretty chill and their signs. And some of the signs genuinely were calling for Trump's assassination, which is not good. We need to lower the political rhetoric going around in our country. So it was funny seeing okay, these people, I'm talking to them, they're kind, good people, and they're holding signs that are crazy. So I totally agree with you. Some of the signs were out of control.
Can you tell me about the Grannies for Good Government? Did you actually talk to them?
Yes. Yeah. So they were up by the Capitol right after the walk had finished, and they were wearing matching shirts. So I went up and talked to them. I was like, your shirts are so cute. What are you here for? I want to know how you got here. And then they were really sweet. So, and they had pretty nuanced views of this, because I asked them about okay, are you worried that Gen Z is leaning more heavily into socialism? And one of them had immigrated from Europe, and she was like, actually, yeah, that does concern me, because when one political ideology goes too far, it inevitably leads to tyranny. And so they had just really interesting thoughts. They were very supportive of the movement, and they are very happily situated within the Democratic movement, but they just really had really nuanced thoughts on it.
Ava, as I understand it, the organization had the group begin near the city and county building, that big Library Square area, and then they walked State Street up to the Capitol. Was it just sort of an organized march from that 4th South area up to the Capitol?
Yeah, and it's just a straight shot. So it was just on State Street. It's a big, wide street, so it was full from, sidewalk to sidewalk, and yeah, it was a straight shot. It was pretty easy, and there were a lot of there were a lot of people who did that, and there were a lot of people. The Grannies for Good Government took a shortcut. I don't know if I'm outing them for that, but I do think I think a lot of people just went to the Capitol instead of doing the march.
Oh, that's funny. One final question, Eva, is when people arrived up at the Capitol, were there speeches? Were there events? Was it just, you go from point A to point B and then everybody went home? What happened once they got to the Capitol?
Yeah, so there were speeches, and they had people up on the steps at the Capitol. To be honest, it was very hard to hear. So I didn't hear their speeches at the Capitol very well. I heard the ones at Washington Square crystal clear, but I think they had speeches going on for half an hour to an hour after that. And people were just sitting around on the lawn and chatting, and people up closer were more engaged, but it was just kind of we're just hanging out.
Okay.
Thanks, Ava. That was Ava Terry with the Deseret News, who was there for this No Kings March and rally in Salt Lake City. Very well attended and very well behaved. So we're 2 days away from April, which means we're about 2 weeks away from Tax Day, which is a day I just regret every year. I don't know why, but it is just around the corner. We've got a CPA in studio next to break down some key changes in the tax law this year. And you can also text us at 57500 with any of your tax questions. We'll be back with tax tips in just a few minutes.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Adam Small to look at our top stories this hour. Saturday and Sunday, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will hold its 196th annual General Conference. This will be the first General Conference presided over by President Dallin H. Oaks. A couple of his grandchildren talked with KSL TV's Carol Makita.
Even though he was a judge by trade previously, he's one of the least judgmental people you'll ever meet.
He would also come to some of my tennis matches in high school, even though he was extremely busy as a counselor in the first presidency.
You can listen to all 4 sessions of the conference right here on KSL News Radio beginning Saturday morning at 10. We will also have special programming surrounding the morning and afternoon sessions on both days. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints also announced a milestone for their seminaries and institutes of religion. There are now more than 1 million students enrolled worldwide. A church spokesman says they've been seen a significant increase in students over the past 2 years. 2026 marks the 100th year of the Institute program. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The fighting in and around the Middle East isn't stopping anytime soon. Iran has struck an Israeli refinery and is threatening violence against American and Israeli military bases. This as more U.S. Marines have arrived in the region.
CENTCOM announcing the USS Tripoli, carrying 3,500 additional service members and Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, has arrived in the region. A second Marine unit is already on its way, with an additional 1,500 soldiers from the Army's elite 82nd Airborne also preparing to deploy. The U.S. has about 50,000 service members in the Middle East.
That's ABC's Matt Rivers. Your money at this moment. Markets are up still. Dow is currently up 316. S&P 500 up 19 points. The NASDAQ barely in the positive, up 9 points. Cost of oil, though, continues to rise. Right now, it's just over $102 a barrel. Coming up, another beautiful sunny day in store today, but we've got a big change coming. Good chance of seeing some storms. We'll take a look at your forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things. Clean job sites and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. Strong families are the bedrock of our communities. That's why I'm focused on bringing Utah's core values to Washington and advancing pro-family legislation. I helped permanently increase the child tax credit, create Trump accounts for children, and incentivize employers to provide better access to childcare, benefiting families and setting up our next generation for success. As the father of 4 boys, family is everything, and I am continuing to work on solutions to make raising a family in America more affordable. To learn more about what I am doing to advocate for you and your family in Congress, sign up for my weekly e-newsletter at blakemore.house.gov and follow along on social media at Rep. Blake Moore. If your family needs help navigating a federal agency or has questions about what I'm working on, please give my office a call at 801-625-0107. Happy to also help coordinate U.S. Capitol tours, take your comments, and provide legislative updates at any time. It's our honor to serve you and your families in Congress. Thank you. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together is brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Cormac Bone.
Our heaviest delays are eastbound Pioneer Crossing due to construction. That's slow and go starting at 7800 West, and it's all the way till I-15. On I-15, we don't have any delays all across the Wasatch Front. What we do have is a crash. This is in Weber County on the off-ramp from northbound I-15 to Riverdale Road. They're blocking a right shoulder there still. And again, no delays behind them, but do be careful as you get off the freeway and make sure they have the space. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Look for highs in the mid-70s today with partly cloudy skies in Salt Lake City. Going to see highs drop down into the 60s over the next couple of days with a good chance of seeing scattered rainstorms, especially seeing mountain snow as well. By Friday, we could be seeing a high of only 49 degrees. Right now, 63 degrees and partly cloudy skies in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Adam Small from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, by my calculation, we are 2 days and 2 weeks away from tax day, April 15th.
Hey.
Not my favorite day of the year. It's always one of those, and I don't know, it's not like I get dinged or anything, but I just always, when I'm waiting for that note from my CPA saying you owe X.
Yeah.
I never, whatever X is, it's never good. You know, I never have a refund coming. Or if I do, they say, well, we'll just apply it to next year.
You know what? I talked to somebody this weekend. It was really interesting because we were talking about taxes, and she said she likes to pay local taxes because she feels like she can see directly where those taxes go. Yes, we fixed the pothole in the road. Yay, right? We are funding our public schools. Yay. But she says it gives her more heartburn to pay federal taxes because there's a little less transparency about where that money goes. Okay, so we're going to take your tax questions in just a few minutes. So text us at 57500 with any questions you may have. But we have with us in studio right now Susan Spears. She's the CEO of Utah. Okay, it's UACPA and a CPA, but it's Utah Association of Certified Professional Accountants.
Public.
Certified Public Accountants.
And she's
okay, and she's a professional. So, and Susan, I wanted to start right off by asking about overtime pay because it's that whole thing about no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. Help us know about that.
So it's confusing to a lot of people. You know, a lot of people work overtime on their jobs, and so they're kind of coming out the gate saying, well, I don't have to pay tax on my overtime this year. That's not true. I mean, your overtime's been reported on your W-2. Now, you do get to have a deduction if you qualify. You know, there's always,
right. There's always
income limitations. But, you know, for a joint filer, you can maintain a $25,000 deduction for overtime pay. Now, it's $12,500 for single filers. Okay, but you're going to report the amount on your W-2 like you always do. And then on Schedule 1, that is where you get to deduct what's called the overtime premium. So that is, you know, when you get overtime, it's time and a half. The premium is that half time that you get to deduct up to $25,000, married filing jointly, or $12,500 if you're a single filer.
So you still get taxed on the overtime, just not at the 1.5 times rate.
Right. I mean, you know, you're taxed on it, it's reported, but then we're going to deduct it as we go through the tax return. Okay? So you're going to show the full amount. We're going to record all other income or whatever, and then on Schedule 1, we're going to show that premium deduction. So it's going to come through there So don't net it when you report.
So first of all, that just tells me I need a CPA to help me do my taxes, although I didn't get any overtime pay. But so do taxpayers, you said Schedule 1, do taxpayers then have to itemize to be able to get this deduction?
No, this is a deduction.
Okay.
Okay, not an itemized deduction. This is a deduction from taxable income.
And last question on this particular issue, Susan, is this part of what came out of the One Big Beautiful Bill? Is this part of the tax package?
Yes.
I don't even recall that, the overtime, the being part of it.
Yeah, there was so much that came out of that bill that I don't think any of us can remember everything that came out of it. There's a lot. It's kind of sometimes feels random. But this was designed to help those that are working a lot, some of our lower income people, to help them out a little bit.
Interesting.
All right. We already have a texter question, and it is this. I thought I read something about a tax deduction for seniors over 65 of $4,000. Is that something for this year or last year?
Okay, so 2025 tax filing. So yes, but I'm going to give you a little bit of happy news here. It's a $6,000 deduction.
Oh, wow.
If you're 65 by the end of 2025. And this deduction goes... But there are income limitations. I mean, I always say the devil's in the details.
Right.
But this goes 25 through 28. Okay, so we're going to get that. So you'll have your... a lot of seniors take the standard deduction. They're just not in a place where they're itemizing anymore, So you'll have this, let's say you take the standard deduction, then there's another $2,000 deduction. Sometimes there's a blind deduction. And then you get this $6,000 deduction.
Wow.
So you could end up, depending upon how you're filing, with over $30,000 in deductions.
Wow.
Before taxable income.
But is that for seniors who are not working full-time, like myself, having a full-time job? I wouldn't maybe qualify for that because I make too much money?
Maybe if you make too much money, but if
Okay.
you're over 65, then you would qualify for this.
Okay.
So if one spouse is over 65 and one is not, they're still eligible based on income for this $6,000 deduction. What if they're both over 65?
So if they're both over 65, you get $12,000.
Oh my gosh.
So it's $6,000 per individual.
Person. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that one either. I guess I'm not paying attention. That's why we bring you in here, so we can understand these things. So that'll be something that our CPAs should know about, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that a lot of the software programs, especially the ones that we're using as CPAs and professionals, that's worked into the program. And it's something that we're watching for. When new tax legislation comes out, you always worry a little bit. It's like, we know, because we're trained on it, we're keeping up on the law, but you always have to double check what kind of software you're using.
Can I just follow up with one thing?
Sure.
You said 25 through 28. This is a 4-year program?
Mhm.
25, 6, 7, and 8?
Yes.
And then we'll revisit it or something?
It'll be revisited, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So could that wipe out somebody's tax bill completely?
Oh, absolutely. If you think especially a lot of our seniors that are on, these fixed incomes, just let's say Social Security, it could completely wipe that out.
We don't have a whole lot of time, but I want to ask you about tips. So what kind of jobs qualify for this no tax on tips?
So we're looking at that. It's qualified tip income. So think if you're a server, somebody leaves you a tip, that kind of thing. That would be the easy definition. Now you have to keep in mind, if it's a tip that is required as part of the bill, that does not count.
Well, if the restaurant adds it automatically, are you saying it doesn't count?
Yeah. So let's say you have a party of 15 that comes in, and you reserve the table and everything, and the rule at the restaurant is that you're going to be charged 22% gratuity.
Yeah.
That is not deductible.
Oh my goodness.
But if the guests were generous and gave a tip over and above that, it might be.
Then that differential, that would be. So this is, everyone, you got to keep records on this stuff, especially because this is starting this year. The forms aren't great.
Wow. Well, that's really interesting. So we're going to open up our phone lines, Susan. People can call us 801-575-TALK to ask Susan your tax questions. Call us with your question, 801-575-TALK. We're going to be right back.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener, like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV, but if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to it at a campsite plays acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat, remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement. And it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be 6 figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
What's up, Utah? This is Jimmer Fredette. You know, back in the day, Jimmer Mania was all about making big shots. Now it's time for Window Mania. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more from Advanced Window Products. Call them today at 801-850-9100. If your old drafty windows are a turnover, costing you money every month, it's time for a game changer. These guys are the home team. They're a local, family-owned company that manufactures their windows right here in Salt Lake City. They're built by Utah for our crazy Utah climate. When you buy from Advanced Window Products, you're buying factory direct. No middleman. That's how you score a winning deal. Their windows are tough on defense, blocking out the heat and the cold, which saves you serious money on your energy bills. And here's the slam dunk. Their lifetime warranty, which even covers accidental glass breakage, that's peace of mind you can't get from the other guys. Get in on Window Mania and tell them Jimmer sent you. Call 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Love it or hate it, it's almost tax day, and the one big beautiful bill resulted in a lot of tax changes for this year and into the future. Not maybe necessarily too far into the future, but a few years at least. So luckily, we have with a certified professional accountant, CEO of UA CPA, Susan Spear. She's in studio, and we have a caller, Susan, about goodwill donations and whether you use Schedule A or not. This is David in Mill Creek. Thanks for joining us, David.
Hey, David. Hi. So charitable donations, you would still, if they're over $500, of course, there's that special form that you have to fill out, but it still flows through to Schedule A in 2025.
It does.
Now,
okay.
2026, and we can wait, I'll just put a tickler out for 2026. We're going to see a few little changes in 2026, but for 2025, still report charitable donations on your Schedule A.
On Schedule A. So if you're not filing Schedule A, you're not able to deduct goodwill donations. Is that correct?
If you're not on Schedule A, you're not allowed to deduct goodwill donations. Was his question, I think.
So, yes, on the Schedule A, that's where you will deduct your goodwill donations. So, like if you're giving to the DI or you're giving to Salvation Army or whatever, that goes on Schedule A.
Right. Okay. But it's possible it might change next year.
Yes, we're seeing some changes for next year. But stay tuned. We don't have all those regs out yet. So it's like welcome to the world of a CPA.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, David. And a reminder to other listeners, you can call us with your tax questions. That's 801-575-TALK. Okay, so yeah, that charitable donation question, that is maybe for the future. I have a question, and I don't even know how to ask this except to say, can we use AI for our taxes? Is that something we should be doing or not doing?
Oh, wow. That's a pretty loaded question. You know, I always look at AI as a tool. Mm-hmm. AI and a lot of our tax softwares is integrated in there. I've done a few, as I've experimented, and it's not great. You still have to check it. At the end of the day, it's you sending in your tax return, not Claude or ChatGPT. So what I've seen and what I've heard is sometimes, we're feeding these numbers into Chat, and Chat doesn't always know where those numbers go on the return. So make sure you double check.
Can I ask you just a follow-up then with software? So whether it's available online or as a CD or whatever, should we be able to trust software preparation tools?
For the most part, I think, like there's TurboTax, there's all these kind of individual packages out there, and I think that as long as you've got a fairly simple return, let's say wages and interest, sometimes I get concerned. I used to, when I had my big clientele, people would bring I did this on TurboTax so you could get this done faster, more efficiently. Sometimes what I found, and I've still seen it in the last couple of years, is that some of these softwares will double up on deductions. Let's say you have a rental property and you have interest expense on the rental property. It might take the interest expense on the rental property, but then also carry it over to your Schedule A. So again, you've got to double check. I think the more complex, this is sometimes where you might want to, chat with a CPA for a minute.
I've got a question. I'm asking for a friend, but what advice do you give people about paying quarterlies when they get at the end of the year and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, there's a big hit? What advice? And I know we're kind of coming off the wall a little bit here, but you seem to know everything here. What advice do you give people about paying quarterly so they don't get that big hit?
You don't want the big hit. One of the reasons we pay quarterlies is, let's say you have a lot of businesses or investment income or whatever, you're not having enough withholding. If you're working a wage job, maybe have more withholding taken out throughout the year. But if you find yourself in a situation, and a lot of our business owners or a lot of people, that have investments, we'll have them make quarterly estimated payments, because if you don't pay in a certain percentage of what your prior year's tax was, the IRS can penalize you for that, for not making those payments. So that's why we have you make estimated tax payments. We don't want you paying penalties. You can spend that penalty money better on your own, in my opinion, than the IRS can.
I have a question from a texter. Is there a deduction for car loans this year? I bought a new car last year for my family, and I wondered if I can deduct it.
Oh, this is a good one. So this is something that the One Big Beautiful Bill did do. So for new cars purchased in 2025.
New?
New. Okay. New being one of the operative words here. Listen carefully. You can deduct up to $10,000 in interest.
Wow.
This is a deduction, so you don't have to itemize to get this. But there's some qualifications on that. I mean, the car has to be new, has to be under 14,000 GVW. Interestingly, I mean, it can be a car, a minivan, an SUV, even motorcycles.
Wow.
I mean, who would guess that you could deduct interest on a motorcycle? You just have to make sure that the final assembly is in the U.S., and as part of the reporting requirement, you're going to have to put the VIN. You're going to have to put the VIN on the tax return. Okay.
What's the current status of mortgage write-off? How does that work for homeowners? I don't remember what the deal is with that.
So you can still itemize mortgage interest. So that's going to go on your Schedule A on your tax return.
Okay.
Okay.
So what portion, I want to just go back to the cars. Used cars don't qualify. Is it a car you purchase primarily for business use, or does it have to be really for personal use?
So if it's a car and you've got business and personal use, you're going to allocate it.
Okay.
So let's say it's 40% for personal, then you're going to, maybe only get $4,000.
Okay. Super interesting.
What would you say is the number one thing that people do wrong when they're doing their taxes? And maybe the answer could go for weeks, but what do you think people, if you're just talking to our listeners, what would you say people are mostly doing wrong with respect to taxes?
I'm gonna mention a couple things. First of all, I'm gonna mention this first. IRS is getting away from paper checks, so they're going to be doing direct deposits. One thing that we see, I don't want to say often, but enough that it's concerning to me, is people will either give their CPA or their preparer incorrect depository information, meaning the routing number or the account number. And so then their refund gets deposited in the wrong account. So double and triple check that. Make sure you just kind of be extra careful on that, because if the money's deposited in the wrong account, it's going to take a minute for it to come out of the wrong account and go back into your account. The other thing is to make sure that you've got correct Social Security numbers, that we're claiming the right dependents. I mean, sometimes we start seeing, especially as kids grow up and move out of the house, they will file their own return even though mom and dad could still claim them. But they're trying to get ahead of things, and then mom and dad files their return and it gets rejected with the error message saying, oh, this dependent's already been claimed. So make sure there's some communication. Those are some biggies.
We have a couple of other texts, and I thought maybe you could just talk about this. Well, this one says the state of Utah is 120 days out processing tax refunds. So the question is, what about estimated taxes for the state? And then I would just add, what can we expect for refunds coming back, returns?
Okay, I'll answer the easy one first. Utah does not require that you make estimated tax payments.
Okay.
That is not in our law, so you pay it, April 15th, which is when the taxes due. As far as refunds go, right now they're taking about 3 to 4 weeks direct, and that's a direct deposit refund. Mm-hmm. If you're wanting a paper refund, like I just mentioned, the IRS is getting away from that. Expect it to be about 6 weeks. Now, if you've got earned income credits and some of that kind of stuff where there's been a lot of fraud, you could expect up to 12 weeks. So be aware.
Very well. Well, thanks for joining us. That was Susan Spears, certified public accountant, joining us in studio.
Who's
today.
also professional.
We're going to have
Thank
you here again next year, too, or I may call you this afternoon.
All right. Thank you.
When we come back, we're talking about polygraphs and whether or not they can be used to report sexual assault. A new law says that it's not going to happen anymore. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good morning. It is 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Adam Small with a look at our top stories this hour. A local search and rescue team is reminding Utahns to watch your small children around windows.
The Saratoga Springs Search and Rescue Team says they've been seeing a growing number of calls about kids falling out of windows. It does become more common as the weather gets warmer and more families want to open up the windows and let the spring or summer air in. But rescue teams say to keep an eye on them, and they're also recommending some safety precautions, like opening double-hung windows from the top, using a window stop or ledge to limit how much it can be opened, and keeping furniture away from those shorter windows. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. TSA workers are supposed to start getting their paychecks first paycheck in weeks starting today because of an order signed by President Trump.
45 days into this partial government shutdown, and Congress has left town for 2 weeks. I've talked to Democrats and Republicans. Right now, there are no plans for lawmakers to return back here to Washington to address this. This has now become the longest shutdown in American history. The president has taken action to pay those TSA workers, but that is only a temporary fix.
ABC political correspondent Rachel Scott says only Congress can fully fund the Department of Homeland Security. And a group of local college students had a big night at the 45th College Television Awards, also known as the Student Emmys. The BYU students won in all three categories they were nominated for, which was animated series, comedy series, and commercial PSA or promo. 17 BYU students were nominated this year, which was the most nominations of any single university. Your money at this moment, markets are still doing pretty good this morning. The Dow is up 368 points, S&P 500 up 26, the Nasdaq's up 41. Cost of oil, though, is continuing to rise, down a little bit here in the last half hour, but still well over $101 a barrel. Coming up, another sunny day before the rain starts falling. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace tucked away in a drawer, pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings, to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-551-7672.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-551-7672. That's 800-551-7672.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Traffic and weather together is brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
No major accidents all across the Wasatch Front. The crash that we had on the off-ramp to northbound I-15, from northbound I-15 to Riverdale Road, that has cleared off the road. So I-15 is a clean and clear drive all across the Wasatch Front. We do have delays in Lehigh on Pioneer Crossing eastbound, starting near 7800 west. That's pretty regular for this time of the day, so nothing out of the ordinary in your midday commute. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ Lawn Care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, look for a high of 74 degrees today with partly cloudy skies in Salt Lake City. High of 65 tomorrow. We start to see some rain move in. 60 degrees on Wednesday, and then we're down into the 50s, even down to the 40s by Friday. Right now, it is 64 degrees and broken clouds in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Adam Small from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Last Thursday, Governor Cox signed into law several bills that the legislature had recently passed, and one that we'd been watching closely, and I've personally been watching this fairly closely, Holly, over the last several years, was a bill that was sponsored by Angela Romero called Use of Polygraph Amendments, and the bill would, and now the law will, after it goes into effect on May 6th, limit when law enforcement and prosecutors can require or ask a sexual assault victim to submit to a polygraph test.
So I was touched to see a picture of Representative Romero after the governor and lieutenant governor signed this bill. This is a multi-year effort, and sometimes these are a heavy lift, right? And I just found it really touching that Representative Romero, minority leader in the House, that she was emotional about this, and she's joining us right now. So thanks for joining us, Representative.
Yeah, thank you. And I was actually crying with the reporter because the reporter had been working with the victims of Dr. Owens. And so I didn't realize our picture was getting taken at the time.
Well, it's still fine to have emotions. So I wonder if you can talk to us, because I know this was a multi-year effort and you mentioned a specific person. Can you share some of the genesis behind wanting this effort to ban lie detector tests for sexual assault victims?
Yeah, I was asked by CCJJ, which is a government entity, and the Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault to run this piece of legislation about 3 sessions ago. And it was always interesting, the conversations about the bill, because it always goes back to, well, we need to get to the truth. But as we know, with the individual talked about in the article, Andrew, that's not his real name, he took the polygraph test because he wanted to show that this Dr. Owens had violated him and had inappropriately touched him. And when Doppel, which is a government entity, provided that test that came back as deceptive, it just shattered him. And he had actually reached out to me anonymously and had sent me a letter. And I knew then I had to keep on fighting for the bill because he contemplated suicide because he felt like, I'm not believed this person hurt me. And through this report, they think that Dr. Owens, who's serving 15 years in prison, he only got charged for 2 crimes, but they think he had up to 20 victims.
Representative Romero, I worked, as you know, in the sex crimes unit of the district attorney's office when I worked there in the 80s and 90s, and I've done a significant amount of work on the other side. And I have seen law enforcement use this as a tool. What kind of response did they have and input did they have in this bill?
Well, I worked closely with Nate Mutter, who is the liaison for law enforcement. Of course, Chief Brian Redd, I've worked with him for years before he was Salt Lake City PD, and also Tom Ross, who's a former police chief.
Right.
And so law enforcement was heavily involved in this. The obstacle I kept on facing was a defense attorney, and it was one particular defense attorney. And I love working with him, but on this, he and I just couldn't see eye to eye. And really the obstacle was the Senate, and there were a couple of senators who just did everything in their power to try to take out ask, because in this bill it says, a government entity, law enforcement, a prosecutor can't ask or require. But if you take out the ask, you got the bill, and that's what happened to Andrew, who the story that the Tribune did a story on. They didn't require him to take the test. They asked him, and he said yes because he knew what had happened to him, and he felt like that would expose this person who was hurting him. In return, your body reacts a certain way, and it was like he was re-victimized again, and he was traumatized. And so, as we know, lie detector tests, polygraph tests aren't ever used really in a court of law. And so we were just trying to follow best practices. But one of the reasons we initially ran this bill, and it's changed now because of the different administration at the federal level, is it also opened it up to more VAWA funding as well.
Can you tell us what changed then to help this law get across the finish line this year?
The House, the Speaker, and others helped me prioritize the bill because the bill passed the day before the session ended. And this new leadership team, my caucus put this as our number one bill we wanted heard. And my Senate sponsor was a little nervous. He circled it. He's like, I don't think this is going to pass. I go, well, we just need to do it. And I had been working with Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault and other organizations that advocate on behalf of domestic violence and sexual assault victims. And they worked with their local senators, and even on the Senate floor, a particular senator tried to amend it and take out the ask. And we were really nervous, and my Senate sponsor was really nervous that it was going to get struck or the bill was going to die. But all that work behind the scenes, all the years we've been, educating our colleagues on this, that amendment didn't pass. And Senator Escamilla had a big she played a significant role in this as well, and it didn't pass. And then when the bill went up for a vote, the 2 individuals that were opposed to it, that were trying to strike ask, actually voted for the bill. So I think it had 2 no votes in the Senate, but the bill passed. And this was really why I kept on pushing this bill is just Andrew, I don't know his real name, but just his story just resonated with me, and I knew someone had to stick up for him. I still get emotional about it. I don't know why, but I do.
I can tell. And you have for a while, and I've seen you speak on this bill several times, and you and I have not necessarily disagreed, but a little bit talked about the pros and cons of it. Let me ask you this. As I look at the bill, the law now, you can't ask or require a sexual assault victim to submit to a polygraph. You can't use a polygraph in deciding whether to charge, and you can't use the fact that a victim refused to take a polygraph test in the charging decision. So in other words, the polygraph question shouldn't even come up in terms of a sexual assault examination. I mean, we shouldn't even be talking about it.
It shouldn't come up at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and we know best practices on this. When I passed HB 200 a few years back, which mandated the testing of all sexual assault kits, and we were able to get funding to do that, we also put in there training for law enforcement and for prosecutors. And so there are better ways in which to get to the truth. A lot of people raise the concern, well, What if somebody's lying? There are other ways in which to interview. And are there false accusations? Yes, but they're very rare. More people don't report because they feel like they won't be believed. And so, after Andrew, his results came back as deceptive. He didn't know if he wanted to move forward. I mean, he was contemplating his life, and so for me, I would never want a victim not to go and report because they're afraid they won't be believed or they'll be out of stresses. So there's other ways in which we can interview someone to get to the truth.
All right. Thank you so much. That was House Minority Leader Representative Angela Romero on her bill that has now become law, banning lie detector tests for sexual assault victims. When we come back, we're going to talk about conspiracy theories, especially around the killing of Charlie Kirk and how that might impact juries. Stay with us.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Ever wonder why I say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate? Well, we are the world's most northern manufacturer of spas, and we are built for the cold climates. We are just more heavy duty. It is commercial grade, but built for your house. We use fiberglass instead of ABS plastic. We use thicker, stronger, better insulating covers. We use our heat lock insulation to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and protect the equipment. Arctic Spas are designed to last longer and be less expensive for you over the long term. Arctic Spas are known for their water care automation with our automatic saltwater system and our automatic pH control. We have it, no one else does. This makes it easier and more enjoyable for you to own an Arctic Spa. Find the perfect Arctic Spa for you at arcticspasutah.com or visit any of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. That's why we say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
One Kind Act a Day is a program from the Semnani Family Foundation. One Kind Act a Day seeks to create kinder communities by inspiring daily acts of deliberate kindness. Their work includes programs in schools, businesses, communities, faith groups, and prisons where they help enhance the culture of kindness and increase a sense of community. The world always needs more kindness. No matter what our background or beliefs are, kindness towards others and ourselves is something that everyone can get behind. Kindness can be big or small, but the ripple effect can reach out in ways that we don't even realize. Wouldn't life be better if we were all a little more kind? You can do your part by starting today. All it takes is one kind act a day. Find out more and take the pledge of kindness at thepowerofkind.org. That's thepowerofkind.org.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You need a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. Switch today. Get started with a great offer as low as $60 a month. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Offer ends 6/1/26. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet and security edge. 1-year agreement, eco-bill, and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now.
Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The new Inside Sources.
Conspiracy theories abound in high-profile cases. The Charlie Kirk murder case is not an exception to that. But it raises a question for me, Greg, about how do these conspiracy theories maybe impact juries?
Yeah, and the reason we're talking about this is because Joe Kent, who recently left his position as the director of the Federal National Counterterrorism Center, said there's still a case against alleged killer Tyler Robinson, but he also thinks other people could be involved, and he claims that the FBI and others are rejecting his arguments here. So, I mean, somebody comes forward and says, look, you guys are all focused on this Tyler Robinson case, killing Charlie Kirk, but there are some other people that may be involved, and you need to do further your investigation.
So what's interesting to me, a couple of things. So one of the cases I thought of also, in addition to Charlie Kirk, is the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. And I just did a quick Google search, and one of the articles it pulls up is conspiracy theories abound.
Right.
Because there's no resolution at this point, right? And so I'm wondering, you get a lot of media attention. You have this discussion about whether the juries can be unbiased. Can you find unbiased jurors to sit in there? But how much credence do law enforcement officials, even up to the FBI, how much do they have to pay attention to some of these theories and whether they're credible or not?
Well, the problem you have is if you don't pay any attention to it, then you look like you're covering up. So, yes, and of course we had those even with the Elizabeth Smart case 20, 30 years ago. They were coming out, and I remember prosecutors and others were going, there were all this stuff's going on. It's a nightmare for investigators. It's a nightmare for prosecutors. But you can't ignore that. So when somebody throws these things out, even though in this case it's probably illegitimate, it's probably irresponsible for him to say that, now law enforcement has to follow those leads, because you can't leave that hanging, because your original question was, how does it affect a jury? The jury's going to hear, and there were other people involved, asking the officer on examination, did you investigate any other people? And he says
and
no.
If they say no. Yeah.
And that looks really bad. Yes, we did. We investigated this and this and this and this. In other words, we didn't just, what you get in trouble with as a prosecutor and law enforcement officer at trial is if you hone in on a particular person, and he's your suspect, he or she, and everything you're doing, all your investigation is involving that person, and you end up missing other people, other allegations, other suggestions, and that's what gets an officer in trouble, and that creates reasonable doubt in a jury's mind. Well, maybe this isn't the only person involved. You know what I mean?
Well, JFK's assassination.
Exactly. We're still talking about it.
Was there more than one shooter on the grassy knoll?
Yeah, and people will never come to an understanding or an agreement. There will always be naysayers who say, yeah, that was a conspiracy.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. So even if, look, Joe Kent has said he thinks that they need to investigate a foreign nexus to this. And so I'll just tell you, I'm not deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole at all, but even I have heard some of Israel was behind it, and Tyler Robinson was totally innocent. He was just set up to become the fall guy. And I've even heard that Charlie Kirk isn't actually dead, that he had a body double who died for him, and he is now living in Israel under Netanyahu's protection. I mean, are those the kinds of theories that they're going to have to go investigate?
Well, those are the kind of theories that they can't completely ignore. I mean, they can focus on the individual and the investigation they had with respect to Tyler Robinson, everything they had, the video, whatever forensics they're going to have. And they could also say, but that wasn't the totality of our investigation.
Right.
We also looked at other things. And when people call us and give us a lead, we follow up on that, no matter how ridiculous it is. I just don't see... And it's frustrating for officers, and I'm not trying to get Utah County on the spot here to go investigate this foreign connection, because let's face it, that's almost certainly BS. It's almost certainly
maybe
just,
not true. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So why waste people's time? Because you kind of have to. And so they're not going to go to Israel, but I think they'll do a further investigation and just look at his phone, for example.
Or maybe
Robinson's
his
phone.
bank account.
Right,
See
yes.
if he got a deposit coming from a foreign agent.
Yes, we didn't find any reason to believe that there were any foreign influences involved in this.
So you said they have to investigate, but at the same time, I remember when we were discussing the Charlie Kirk assassination, there were, if I can remember the number, thousands of tips called into the FBI hotline, right? And obviously there were some that were productive. However, how do you prioritize then if you're going to get a whole bunch of tips? And you mentioned Elizabeth Smart. If you had all kinds of people, and this was something that unfolded over a long period of time, 9 months, how do you discern which ones to pursue with vigor and which ones to say, look, she was not abducted by a UFO?
Yeah, so you gave a great example a minute ago, like the whole Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson thing. If just go into his bank account, you know what I mean? And if there's no deposit from some Israeli source or his cell phone. I mean, you can do the investigation, which covers a broad range of conspiracy theories and suspected conspiracy theories pretty easily. I'm not saying you got to assign the FBI agent to every time you get a call, because that would be ridiculous and a waste of time and money. And ultimately, when you go to jury trial, you have to keep your eye on the prize as a prosecutor. Who shot and killed Charlie Kirk on this particular day? And what evidence does it point to this particular suspect? He's obviously presumed innocent, but the state will put on that evidence. And you could throw in all the muck you want and all the conspiracy theories. At the end of the day, you, as a prosecutor, you tell the jury, you can consider all those things, but what does the evidence show? And do you really have any reasonable doubt as to what happened here? And maybe they do. Maybe they say, well, we think there was a foreign influence. You could also say this, even if there was, does that absolve him of responsibility?
Right.
Even if he is getting paid, even if there's some outside source, we can investigate those all day.
Right.
But if the crime is allegedly committed by this particular person,
right,
what evidence do you have that he did it?
Oh,
no
yeah.
matter who was influencing him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And we also had, I had people calling me because people thought I was involved in that case and telling me you need to go into the Salt Lake International Airport flight logs because there was a plane flying over at that exact minute. And if you look at it, it could have been, like somebody reached out of the Delta airline.
I'm laughing and I shouldn't laugh.
And I was like, oh man, please don't tell me this is happening. I'm glad I'm not involved in this case any more than I was. But I've heard the conspiracy theories on that case. I've heard them firsthand, and I received those for some time because I was involved in getting him an attorney. That was my limited involvement.
So it's interesting. So Joe Kent, who is sharing these enhanced theories, I guess, he left his position in the Trump administration. If you remember when he resigned, it was kind of big news because he claimed that Iran was not an imminent threat to the U.S., but was drawn into a war and blamed Israel for drawing them in. And I've seen that too. And I can't speak to whether Israel, if it was a conspiracy to draw us into a war or not. But I was struck that he had left his position in counterterrorism because he disagreed with it.
And what that does is it gives him a level of credibility.
Sure.
So he's not just some person that came out of the woodwork and said, you ought to check the UFO sightings that day. He's got some credibility. He worked in counterterrorism. He's been involved politically and made a position, made it a suggestion that maybe some people will agree with. So some people might think, this man seems to know what he's talking about. Maybe we should give it some credibility. That's the problem with this one, to me personally. Because I think it's bunk, but I think it's. He's a person who you have to take seriously, and I'm sure the prosecution is as frustrated as they could be.
So this is interesting from the KSL article that I've been looking at with this whole situation. So they interviewed Andrew Colvett, the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, and he was really upset. He called it a level of betrayal. And he said, the level of betrayal I currently feel is dramatic and extreme. For any fair-minded person, this is crackpot conspiracy, garbage, brain rot stuff, and now it's gotten really serious. Because, he says, to your point about credibility, he says this is an actual government official who's now going to be called to testify on behalf of the defense, and that's a bridge too far that has a line in the sand, that's mixed metaphors there, that we must hold because this could negatively impact the trial.
I understand that position. I would say this as a defense attorney: would I put this guy on the stand to create reasonable doubt? Probably not.
Yeah.
You should look at outside influences. Well, does that mean that it wasn't committed by Tyler Robinson? Well, you should look at the Israeli. Well, does that mean he didn't pull the trigger? You know what I mean? What does it have to do with guilt or innocence? Yeah. It has to do with other people that could also be brought in.
Yeah.
And I think you, like I say, keep your eye on the prize if you're a prosecutor. And the defense attorney, I don't know, they may bring it in. They may want to have him testify. I'm not sure that's going to help their case.
Well, Greg, this is spring break for half of the state, and next week will be spring break for the other half. But TMZ, they want to know if you get any juicy pictures of lawmakers on spring break, because you know what? They left D.C. for 2 weeks while the government shutdown continues. But should we be outing them while they take their vacations? We're going to talk about that when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Adam Small to look at our top stories this hour. 2 young boys are dead after police say a 14-year-old was driving a stolen car and trying to evade officers when he hit a family in another car.
My cousin was out on a Friday afternoon with his kids, with his wife, enjoying the weather, enjoying a soccer game.
Jessica Pantoja is pleading with people to think about their choices, saying her cousin's life has been turned upside down. A person is in the hospital in serious condition after getting hit by a TRAX train this weekend. It was in Murray at the Fashion Place station. UTA says the person accidentally stepped in front of the train and it was not intentional or criminal. We are still waiting for an update on their condition. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Humanitarian aid from Mexico has been arriving in Cuba, and Russia has sent another oil tanker.
The Russians say their tanker, loaded with 100,000 tons of oil, has now arrived at a Cuban port. President Trump is allowing the Russians to make the delivery despite months of blocking much-needed oil from reaching the island. Blocking those deliveries has put immense pressure on the Cuban government and has had a devastating effect on the country, causing blackouts and escalating gas prices.
That's ABC's Martha Raddatz reporting. Your money at this moment, markets are still doing pretty good. The Dow is up 286 points. S&P is up 8 points. NASDAQ, though, has fallen into the negative now, down 39 points. Oil prices still trending upwards, now approaching $103 a barrel. Coming up, we're going to see more sunshine today, but rain is going to start to move in tomorrow. Take a look at your forecast next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM. Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the Hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. That's on the Jewel Box stage, and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now. hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Tim Hughes back at Replenish Landscape Garden Products. That means it must be spring, and spring has sprung a little early this year. I'm here with Greg. You guys, I don't think, have stopped all winter long, have you?
We haven't. We've had business throughout January, February, and March has taken off like a rocket.
With the lack of precipitation down here in the valleys this winter, the need for nutrients, and I'm going to guess moisture retention is going to be more important than ever, Greg. That's where your soil blends come in.
We have 3 great soil blends for growing specifically. We have the topsoil compost blend, we have a Ute-like garden mix, and we have also the box garden mix, which is formulated specifically for container boxes.
If you're in need this spring and upcoming summer, make sure you stop in to Replenish Landscape Garden Products. You can buy it in bulk, you can buy it in bag, or have it delivered from 4660 South 200 West in Murray. Find them online at replenishcompost.com or give them a call at 801-262-5142. Replenish. It's good stuff.
Traffic and weather together is brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
No major accidents or delays all across the Wasatch Front, so it's slowdowns in the usual places. Northbound SR36 still a little congested, trying to get onto I-80 in Lake Point due to that construction. And eastbound Pioneer Crossing in Lehigh, also heavier and slow, trying to get onto I-15, although volumes there have decreased. But otherwise, again, no major accidents or delays all across the Wasatch Front. I-15 clean and clear between Brigham City and Santaquin. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, look for a high of 74 degrees today here in Salt Lake City. We drop down into the mid-60s tomorrow. We're going to start to see some rain move in and mountain snow possible as well. That trend continues into Wednesday and Thursday. Highs could be down all the way to the upper 40s by Friday. Right now, it is 68 degrees and partly cloudy skies in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Adam Small from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, it's spring break time. And our lawmakers are on spring break. The House and the Senate took a 2-week break, I think, Holly, without passing the Department of Homeland Security bill.
So, look, TMZ's executive producer said he wants travelers to submit photos they take of U.S. lawmakers on vacation, quote, at your expense, as the Department of Homeland Security shutdown impacts TSA officers stretching into, I don't know, day 43 or something like that.
You have to wonder. So people are probably going to take pictures of them anyway. I mean, if you saw a senator out on the beach or something like that,
right,
you might want to take a picture of him. You recognized him, but now maybe you could make a few dollars doing it. TMZ will get you.
I don't even know if they get. I don't think they give you any money. So what's interesting is, I guess the question is this fair game? Are lawmakers fair game? And I'm interested if any of our listeners, if you want to weigh in, 57500, let us know. Should we be taking pictures of lawmakers on vacation during spring break?
And speaking of the way that the Department of Homeland Security was not funded, here's ABC's Mola Lengi explains what exactly happened and why our House and senators are on vacation.
Lawmakers remain at an impasse. House Republicans rejected the Senate's bill because it stripped out funding for ICE and Border Patrol, even though both of those agencies are already fully funded under President Trump's mega bill passed last year. Democrats have been pushing for reforms to immigration enforcement, ICE agents wearing body cameras, and banning face masks. But the House passed its own short-term bill to fund DHS for 8 weeks. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that plan is dead on arrival in the Senate, which, along with the House, is currently in a recess until April 13th.
So here's the problem you have. If you did see a picture of one of our politicians on the beach, maybe with somebody that he or she shouldn't be with, given what's happening right now with artificial intelligence, would you even believe it?
I don't know, right? That's the question.
You can see, I mean, what they've done with Taylor Swift, for example.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a discerning eye that can tell the difference between what's real and then there was
Well,
Brad
you have to
Pitt
look
and
for
Tom
6
Cruise
fingers,
getting in a
make
fight.
sure they don't have 6 fingers,
Right.
make sure they have elbows in the right place.
Right.
Look, I think AI is getting better than that, but doggone it, you brought up a good point. I don't know.
So I think people would take it with a grain of salt anyway if you had these pictures. But I would also beware if you're a public figure. You know what?
You're a public figure.
You deserve to be followed. Seriously.
It's a 24/7 thing. Like, you never take the hat off.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, in your people vote for you. They put you in office for a specific reason, rather, because of your credibility. Yeah, your credibility's on the line even when you're not sitting on the House floor.
I remember seeing a photo of Senator Ted Cruz leaving Texas on a flight to Cancun when there was a huge ice storm that was coming in, right? So he was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to Cancun. He came back because he got so much shade.
Do you remember that Hart? What was his name? He was running for president.
I think, is it Gary?
Gary Hart.
Oh, yes.
And the picture of him on a yacht with a woman.
Not his
it was
wife.
It was so, like, dude, what were you thinking?
Well,
why would you even let somebody take that
No.
picture?
It's not just if you remember, he basically dared the media to follow him. I dare you, like, just come follow me, take pictures, do whatever you want. So they did, and they got a picture of him with somebody who was not his wife.
And he was done.
He was
completely done with his
He was
career
cooked, bro.
after that. Yeah, seriously.
Oh, my gosh. So we do have a texter that says if you are in public and a senator is on public property, snap away. It's free game. Why not? Yeah. Like, I agree. Like, don't go to their house and be a stalker. That's weird.
Yeah,
But if you're at Disneyland or at the beach, I think that's probably fair game.
On the other hand, if you're at Disneyland with the grandkids and you're playing and you're doing this and that, do you really want paparazzi following you around? And if I guess if you're not doing anything
it's
wrong,
part of the package.
Yeah, but you don't want the kids in the picture. You don't want the grandkids. I mean, I could see having some level of privacy. On the other hand, if you're drinking and falling down and stumbling or whatever, that would be. It's like what we have Tiger Woods this weekend gets a DUI and rolls his car.
Yep.
Like,
fair
that's
game,
big
Tiger.
news. Yeah, it's huge news. Whereas if someone else had done it that we don't hear about.
Well, you're an attorney. You know the difference between public figures and private figures when it comes to even laws like defamation and stuff. So,
right.
And you and I are now public figures. So,
once you enter
be careful.
that realm, you're subject to things that you're not otherwise subject
There's
to.
There's another texter who says they're definitely fair game. I'd pay money for a legit photo of our most conservative representatives gambling in Las Vegas, for example. Just saying. So there is a little bit of good news, and I think it's part of the frustration about the shutdown, but a little bit of good news on TSA agents getting their first paycheck in weeks.
Gambling in Las Vegas? I don't know.
Wow.
Not only do they need to get back paid, but everybody needs like a $10,000 bonus because they have to put their lives back together. The mental strain of going to work and not getting paid for 3 out of the last 5 months is just unbelievable.
And I can understand that, but I do understand apparently with the executive order you mentioned that they are going to get paid.
Yeah, and that little sound clip was from TSA officer Johnny Jones, and he's president of the American Federation of Government Employees, speaking with ABC News. But he's not wrong, right? You've got a month and a half of no pay, you got to go to work, but your bills don't take a break.
Right.
And there are, I know there are programs of house payments, maybe your mortgage, they'll give you a grace period because they understand where you're stuck, but that doesn't mean the interest goes to sleep, right? And it doesn't mean that you actually are off the hook. You still have to pay for daycare, you still have to buy food, you still have to buy diapers, those kinds of things. So that's what they're dealing with. Congress is on vacation. I don't think it's unfair to have people be irritated that the House and Senate are gone for 2 weeks.
And what you wouldn't want is your congressman at Disneyland playing around and his or her constituents standing in a 4-hour line at the airport, having those two things posted simultaneously. This is what was happening Friday afternoon.
Well, and that has been what's happening, right? So we do know that. So lawmakers are celebrities. They're in maybe a different way than Taylor Swift is. She has more followers, I'd say for sure. But there are, I guess, TMZ wants to make a point that they're out on vacation while TSA workers aren't getting paid.
I can't say that I'm a fan of TMZ, but they've been able to, over the years, get some pretty racy pictures. Somehow they're
that's their whole model.
They're the conduit for
That's
those
their
things
business
to come
model.
through. And I guess if you have those pictures, TMZ would be your place to go because they have a international audience. I mean, it's not just like some local thing. They can get the pictures published to a huge audience.
Yeah. So are you doing anything for spring break? I know you don't have kids in school right now, but
we don't get spring break.
I know, you and I don't.
No, I'm not doing anything with spring break.
We aren't either. So anyway, it's one of the things. If you're out and about on spring break and you see a lawmaker, snap a picture and share it. Yeah. It will have an audience. Okay.
Or not.
So look, I have to tell you this. This is definitely nightmare material for some students, although maybe not so much for me. But in-person oral exams may become the norm in the college fight against artificial intelligence. It's not just to stop cheating, but we're going to talk about the bigger concerns for students and if oral exams might be the fix. I would say for some people the fear of public speaking is sometimes stronger than the fear of death. Yeah. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
Maybe we should take a nap.
Yeah, smart. It was a big day yesterday.
Now this is a great nap.
Very restorative.
I feel so rested.
At Ovation Homes, taking it easy looks a little different. Single-level homes designed to keep you moving, not slowing down. Ovation Homes. Your best years start here. To learn more about your next home, find a community or speak to an Ovation specialist. Visit OvationHomesUtah.com.
We decided to downsize.
Less to manage.
Fewer stairs.
More friends.
Ovation Homes. Downsize the stairs, upsize the lifestyle. Your best years start at Ovation Homes. To learn more about your next home, find a community or speak to an Ovation specialist, visit OvationHomesUtah.com. That's OvationHomesUtah.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
This week's movie show brought to you by Sound Sleep. Get a free sleep screening and a free sleep consultation by tuning in on Friday morning. Sound Sleep with 7 locations in Utah.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
If you have student loans, don't miss out on the student loan interest deduction. Here's the good news right up front. You don't have to itemize to claim it. If you paid interest on student loans in 2025, you may be able to deduct up to $2,500 on your federal tax return you'll file this year. That applies to loans for your own education, and in some cases, loans you're legally responsible for, like Parent Plus loans. What surprises people is how this deduction works. It's considered an above the line, meaning it reduces your taxable income before your tax bracket is even calculated. There are income tax limits, and the benefit phases out as income rises.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it.
But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Because when you talk, they hear you.
Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Inside Sources.
At least one major university has figured out a way to perhaps beat the artificial intelligence problem with its students, especially taking tests. Cornell University has announced that they are going to have instructors do what they call oral defense, which means you got to come in and do your final exam person to person.
Yes.
You can't use artificial intelligence for that. I'm interested in your take on that. You teach at a college right now, at a university, and your subject is public speaking.
It is.
I think maybe...
I'm telling you, for some students, this would be an absolute nightmare. So public speaking is always ranked pretty high among phobias. Sometimes it's ranked higher than death. I do think this is really interesting. So I had to look up. Chapman University does a survey every year. They include 65 different things to be afraid of, more than 65 fears. But the top one, it is not public speaking. You know what the top fear is? We're going to think this is funny.
Spiders.
No, it's corrupt government officials. Nearly 70% of Americans report being very afraid of corrupt government officials. So they have this whole intro to their survey, and they say this. Anticipating a frequently asked question, the survey team would like to note that the fear of public speaking ranked number 46, right before murder by a stranger and after a devastating hurricane.
So that's not too compelling.
So that one is not, that one did not find it as high. But a lot of people will say, look, they're really afraid. And we've been in the process right now of having students do some speeches. They're longer and worth more points. And some of them are so nervous, like they almost make themselves sick because they're so scared. And to have your final exam be this way, I can understand the whole, you can't AI your way through an oral exam.
Yeah.
But look, I would rather do a written paper than do something orally if I can, because I can write down my thoughts, right? So it's interesting.
We all know people who, some of the brightest people I've known in my career as lawyers failed the bar exam because they just have test anxiety.
Right.
They just get there and all of a sudden, they could be the most brilliant student that you had at the college or university, and they get to some exam like that where it's sort of all or nothing. I think the CPA exam, the bar exam, the medical boards, those kind of things bring out the worst in some people because they can't do that. And I could see the idea of an oral exam maybe being even worse for some people.
Yeah.
You sit down with a professor and the professor says, okay, tell us about the rule against perpetuities as a lawyer,
I have no idea what you're
yes.
talking about, right?
Yeah,
Your mind goes blank and then you're like, right?
You freeze up. Whereas I don't know if you write it down. I guess it would also depend on if you had this oral board, 5 or 6 people sitting there, like judges, that'd be a tougher thing to do. But if it's a one-on-one with an instructor, I don't know, it would take a lot more time for the instructors too to have these exams.
That's definitely true. It's even broader. I guess it's broader than having AI do the work for you. So students are losing the ability to become creative. So I found this was interesting. This is an ABC News article, and this is from the University of Pennsylvania. So they've got a professor there who puts oral exams with written papers. And she says, it comes across as if we're trying to prevent cheating. That's not why we're doing this. We're doing this because students are actually losing skills. They're losing cognitive capacity and creativity. So if you give a written assignment at home and it comes back and everything is perfect, and they're a freshman in college, you're going to say, ChatGPT helped with this.
No, and to me, I was terrible at college age at public speaking. I could do it no more than I could do brain surgery, and I would have had a hard time with that. But I think right now it makes a lot of sense. I appreciate it. This is a solution to a problem that does exist, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you may go back to the days of. Do you remember the blue notebooks? Like you had these little pieces of paper in a notebook that is basically like, okay, sit down. Here's your final exam. Put away everything except for your pencil, your number 2 pencil,
the blue
book,
book,
and the blue book. Yeah, and you're going to start this. So we have a texter that reminded us that Jeff Foxworthy had a special where he said the number 1 fear in America is speaking in public, and number 2 is death. So the majority of people would rather be the person lying in the casket than the person giving the eulogy. Oh, we laugh, but look, my husband, even like you and I talk on the radio, and he just says that would be his nightmare job because he doesn't enjoy it. He's a kind person who can talk to people, but he's also an introvert. Right. And so add that on top of text anxiety. And, I can see some problems here.
But you have to assume that colleges and universities and even high schools have to figure out a way to circumvent students doing all of their work, including their homework, including their tests on artificial intelligence, just plugging it in and getting what they can and hoping they get at least a B out of the class by doing nothing at all. So maybe this is something anxiety aside, that can help you get some idea, like the blue book. Come in with nothing else except your shirt and pants and the blue book and take the test.
Yep.
Nothing else. That's another way to do it, to make sure that everything they're doing is in a vacuum. The oral assignment is another way of doing that. I don't have any problem with it. I think it makes a lot of sense, although there may be some opt-out for people who have a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but I also saw something recently on job interviews. So people have used AI to help get through their job interviews, not only to help answer the questions, so you can maybe have a split screen, so you're kind of looking to the side, but they will use it. There are times where people can create a new persona, right? And so one of the ways job interviewers are doing it is they'll ask you, get up and turn around. Because AI can generate the face for you in the background, but it can't do the 360 spin, right? So if
people are doing what?
They're creating an AI persona that will look a certain way while you're answering these job interview questions. It's not even a real person, right? So maybe they think it looks better, they're more handsome, whatever, right? And so one way that job interview is nuts. Because you're doing a lot of stuff, you're not doing it face-to-face anymore, you're doing it online.
Right.
And so one way to get around that is asking them to stand up and spin around.
Because AI can't
they don't
that?
generate the 360. Not yet. I'll just say that. Not yet. But I also saw one that I thought was really interesting, Greg, and it was a person who was they were an in-person interview, they were talking, and the person kept stopping. It was like they were buffering. They were buffering like you get on a computer system because they had relied so heavily on artificial intelligence that as they finally got to this job interview stage, they had a really hard time recalling. And I think that's the point, right? Where they're saying we're losing cognitive ability here. We can't even recall because we just plugged it in, spit it out. It doesn't even go into our medium memory, let alone long-term memory.
Right, yeah, just the tip of your tongue, get it through the test, and
That's
then
right.
forget about it. Right. Yeah, that happens far too often. And we all are guilty of that. When we were in college, you'd kind of just, hey, what do I need to do or say or write to get through this test? And then knowing that the next day you're going to forget it all because it may not be important to you.
So this ABC News story, it does point out that oral exams can be unsettling, but if you clarify the format ahead of time and you start with softball questions, it can help. There was one professor, for example, who does 4-minute mock interviews, and that's an engineering course, right? So it's just 4 minutes. Your final is 4 minutes because his class is 180 kids,
right?
Right? But it's interesting, and I think it is important that we learn things, but also I was one of the people like, okay, what do I need to cram in to spit back out? You can't do that at a PhD level, by the way, but trying to do that is say, okay, what's my short-term memory? I've got to, cram it spit it back out, and then I'm done. And I always think there are better ways to get kids, anybody, adults, kids, to process the information in a way that makes sense. It's the therefore what? Why should I care about this? Why am I learning this? Right? If you're just sitting in this class to get a grade, I mean, in my class on public speaking, they have to give speeches.
Right.
You can't.
No better way to learn.
You can't
something
pass
like
the
that,
class if you don't give speeches, multiple speeches. Anyway, interesting
and that's an important class. I mean, I'm looking forward to talking to your class someday and maybe
coming
meeting
up.
them, because public speaking is something that we've all had our issues with. Well, another thing we're having issue with in our country right now is the idea of birthright citizenship. The administration issued an executive order which effectively would do away with birthright citizenship, but a number of judges throughout the country have decided that's not the way it's going to be. So, of course, we're going to go to the United States Supreme Court, and they're hearing arguments on that on April 1st, when we should get some information, a little bit knowledge of where the Supreme Court's headed on that. We'll talk about the inside on that when we come back.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top story this hour: a man has been arrested in what seems to be a road rage shooting in Draper.
According to the Draper police, a driver was in traffic on I-15 when 53-year-old John Orvis pulled up next to them and began to stare at them. The driver tried to avoid Orvis, but says he continued to follow him, even exiting the highway to pursue them on surface streets in Draper. During the chase, another driver reportedly stopped their vehicle for fear of being hit, which police say prompted Orvis to get out of his truck and fire one shot at the stopped vehicle, striking a woman inside. The initial driver had time to get to the Draper police station and report the incident, and Orvis was arrested a short time later. In his interview with police, Orvis claimed to have been brought to Draper by voices in his radio.
KSL News Radio's Cam Elliott reporting. Utah State University could soon have a new head basketball coach. KSL Sports reports that USU is working on a 5-year contract with former Northern Iowa head coach Ben Jacobson. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 50,000 U.S. troops are now in the Middle East as President Trump threatens to take Iran's oil. Here's ABC's Sherry Preston.
With global oil trading at $115 a barrel, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked on Good Morning America about the possibility of U.S. forces taking over Karg Island.
The president has several options at his disposal, and the Department of War is preparing optionality for the president for this and various other contingencies that might arise.
Refineries on Karg Island process 90% of Iranian oil exports, making it crucial to the Iranian economy and a major terminal for crude that flows out of the region. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 266 points, the S&P is up 11, but the NASDAQ is down 17. Coming up, some April showers may be on their way a day early. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Amanda, every business needs IT help. And sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't. Or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure. So both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com.
Most financial advisors only manage your money. They refer you out for taxes. They refer you out for estate planning. They refer you out when things get complicated. Did they really vet that person? Or did they meet once, exchange business cards, and call it a partnership? A referral isn't accountability. It's a handoff. When your investments, taxes, and estate plan are built separately, gaps happen, and those can cost money. At Trajan, we didn't build a referral network. We built a family office for all. Wealth, tax, estate. One team delivering coordinated planning, once reserved for the ultra-wealthy. If you want real coordination and not just introductions, call Trajan Wealth today.
Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath & Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dreammaker Bath & Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things, clean job sites, and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Here's Michelle Rowe.
I'm looking at a crash northbound I-15 approaching Lehigh's Main Street. It's on the right shoulder, just something to watch for. Also, we've still got some pretty solid delays for drivers headed toward I-15 on Pioneer Crossing. This is your way as you're making your way eastbound. Spring is calling. Answer in Cedar City and Bryan Head. Head south, try something different. A one-tank getaway that gives you more vacation. Plan now at visitcedarcity.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy and a high of 74 today before the temperature starts to drop. We're expecting some rain through the middle of the week as it'll cool down to 65 on Tuesday, 60 Wednesday, and 54 on Thursday. Right now it's partly cloudy and 68 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, in 2 days, Holly, the United States Supreme Court is going to hear oral arguments on what I think is one of the most important high-profile cases of its term this year. It's a huge case involving the idea of whether or not we should have or continue birthright citizenship in the United States.
I think... For me, it's like they're holding these hearings on April 1st. It's not an April Fool's joke.
Right.
I felt like this was established law, right? I mean, this is part of the 14th Amendment. This was 150 plus years ago at this point. And so I wonder if you can just help us understand a little bit of background, and then I want to ask you what both sides are saying. But tell us about the history of birthright citizenship.
Okay, so when slavery ended and the country got back to where we were trying to figure out what to do with the people who had been enslaved and now were going to be citizens, the United States Supreme Court came out with a decision called the Dred Scott decision, which basically said a black person whose ancestors were brought into this country and sold was not entitled to the protections of our federal courts. So they were not slaves anymore, but they weren't citizens either. And so the Constitution, we enacted the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution and enacted what's called the Citizenship Clause that says this: any person who is born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof is a citizen. So birthright citizenship. And so what that did was, and that was in 1868, the Dred Scott decision was in 1857, did away with that decision. The Constitution said, no, if you are born in the United States, you are a citizen. And so before we get into the nuts and bolts of this, it was in direct response to the slavery issue and what to do with people who had been enslaved.
So since then, right, a lot of people have been born in the United States. So tell us, tell us what the arguments are. I guess, first of all, I guess President Trump signed an executive order trying to undo an amendment, which he can't. But how did we get here so that it's in front of the Supreme Court?
Okay, so the president issued one of his executive orders, and he did that soon after he took office. It was in January of 2025, and he said, birthright citizenship is now over. We're doing away with that. And what the administration has argued is, look, this was passed in response to a specific problem, and that is the freedom of the slave race, what we're going to do with slaves. It had nothing to do, even the people at the time were not thinking about people who are here illegally or otherwise, and they have a baby, and suddenly that child becomes a citizen. It was directed towards slavery, and that's what the plaintiffs in this case, or excuse me, the defendants in this case are saying, hey, the 14th Amendment has gone way further than what anyone intended, and it was never meant to just allow someone who was born in the United States to be a citizen. Whereas the other side is taking this position. If they had meant it to be anything other than being born in the United States, they could have written that. They could have said slaves who are born in the United States are now U.S. citizens. Instead, they said any person who was born in the United States is a citizen. And it really says anyone born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof is a citizen. So the argument goes back and forth. One is, what was the intent when we enacted the 14th Amendment, and what is the language, and are they the same thing? And that's what the Supreme Court's going to be wrestling with. What was really going on in the country at the time, what was really bothering people at the time, and therefore what did they write up? So that's what's going on here. And it's also important, I want to mention, because Trump did this as a part of an executive order, and there was some method to his madness. I'll tell you what it was. He issues an executive order and says birthright citizenship is over. In response to that, 50 states had lawsuits.
Yeah.
And judges were all over the place saying, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. And so we had these decisions made by a judge in Florida, a federal court judge in Florida, and everyone's going, okay, well, that binds the whole country. So our Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to allow these what we call universal injunctions. Mm-hmm. One judge in some state can't issue an injunction and say, no, that law is unfair, and now every state has to do that. So we did away with universal injunctions, and I think that was the real reason why the Trump administration did this thing. I don't think they care about birthright citizenship. I honestly don't.
I really think
they do. I think they do, but I don't think I think they recognize it's probably a loser issue, but they wanted to get away with these universal injunctions. So what happened was this. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't have universal injunctions. So now what? Birthright citizenship is now no good anymore. So a state took on a case in what was really classified, I think, as a class actions case, saying, okay, this is for everybody.
Wasn't there something with the Supreme Court decision on those universal injunctions saying this wasn't a class action suit? That really opened the door to say, okay, well, now there is
go
one.
file one. Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
You made it even simpler than I did. So they said, look, you can't just file lawsuit by lawsuit by lawsuit.
Right.
This is really a class action, so do it. So they got a class action lawsuit. Now that's up at the Supreme Court right now. But they did away. Trump got something out of this, no matter how you look at it. He got the fact that universal injunctions no longer exist, and no more in this country can a judge in one state issue a ruling about the constitutionality of a statute and make the rest of the country bound by that. So they did win something, no matter how this case shakes out.
Well, I think if the case shakes out that we no longer have birthright citizenship, for me, that brings up really big concerns, right? I mean, just huge. But it could impact even President Trump's own son because his wife is an immigrant, Melania. And so would Barron somehow, I know that we can say, okay, well, he went through his dad. But one of the things that I have seen with the proposal from the executive order is that it doesn't matter if you have one citizen parent, if you have one immigrant parent, then there's no birthright citizenship granted. So even perhaps President Trump's own son would not be a U.S. citizen.
Except that as I read the executive order, it said beginning in 30 days, no one else will be.
Okay. So retroactive.
I think it was like, this is not retroactive.
Not
It's
retroactive.
saying going forward, and as I read it just says beginning in 30 days, babies born in the United States will not be automatically entitled to citizenship if their parents are in this country, either illegally or temporarily. That was the executive order.
Then you got the temporarily. So what if you have somebody here under the temporary protected status, so they lose that they lose the ability for their child to be a U.S. citizen. Or if they're here as students, their children will not be citizens. Why would we do this?
Well, because the administration is saying some people cheat, and they come here to have a baby knowing that otherwise there's no way you could get citizenship. So why not go take a vacation to Mexico or to New Mexico, Utah, while you're pregnant, have a baby, and then all of a sudden your kid is granted citizenship, even though you may not have. It would have been much more difficult to do it otherwise. And I'm just playing hypothetical, but I think the administration is saying too many people have been granted citizenship for reasons that were never intended by the framers of the Constitution, the constitutional amendment of the 14th Amendment.
Well, one of the things that I have heard from people on the other side of this issue is that they're leaning heavily into some racist tropes about the worthiness of people here in the United States. That has me deeply concerned. Yeah,
those arguments will be Wednesday. We'll be following those closely. We may even try to get somebody from SCOTUS blog to talk to us about that.
Yeah.
Well, when we come back, in a late-night post on Truth Social, President Trump said Iran must open the Strait of Hormuz immediately or the United States would, quote, completely obliterate, he didn't say for the third time, civilian infrastructure, including power plants, oil wells, and maybe even desalination plants. Are we making any progress? We'll talk about that after the break.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
On top of home and auto, Progressive protects your boat, RV, and motorcycle so you can explore the unknown.
Actually, we just take the RV to the same campground every year.
Well, maybe you can catch your own dinner on your boat.
Oh, we can actually get pizza delivered there from this brick oven place we love.
Will you at least try a new topping?
Honestly, probably not. We kind of have a go-to order.
Fine. Just bundle home or auto insurance with your outdoor vehicles with Progressive and stay protected when you go, I guess, where you've gone before. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC is ready for summer. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there, it feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, it seems like the whole world economy right now is being affected by one little strait of water, the Strait of Hormuz, which is where a ton of oil travels regularly. Now Iran has closed that off, and what it's done to the economy, not just locally, not just nationally, but worldwide, is astounding. And I think the Trump administration, is doing everything they can to get that strait opened.
Well, that includes not subtle threats. So early this morning, it was about 5:30 in the morning Eastern time, the president posted on Truth Social, where he likes to go and post, that the United States is in serious discussions with a new, more reasonable regime to end our military operations in Iran. Great progress has been made, which Iran disputes, I will say that. But if for any reason a deal is not shortly reached, which it probably will be, and if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately open for business, we will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, and Karg Island, and possibly all desalination plants, which we have purposely not yet touched. So that's pretty...
Yeah, so
well,
when you get
I guess it's not the first time he said we're going to destroy everything.
Yeah, power plants, oil wells, but when you get to those are bad enough, but desalination plants, that means drinking water.
Right.
That means you're going to destroy a country's drinking water source.
Yeah.
And to me, that seems to be something more than what's allowed under our war crimes.
Yeah, international law would consider that a war crime. But this ongoing, it's really a back and forth on social media in some ways. So hopefully there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. But Iran keeps saying, we're not negotiating. Sorry, we haven't had any talks. Sorry, whatever it is that they're saying is like, we're not in negotiations right now.
Yeah, and right now what we do know is 50,000 U.S. troops are in the Middle East, and President Trump's threatening to take oil. Would he go through with this or not? Here's ABC's Sherry Preston with more on that.
With global oil trading at $115 a barrel, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked on Good Morning America about the possibility of U.S. forces taking over Karg Island.
The president has several options at his disposal, and the Department of War is preparing optionality for the president for this and various other contingencies that might arise.
Refineries on Karg Island process 90% of Iranian oil exports, making it crucial to the Iranian economy and a major terminal for crude that flows out of the region. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
So I think one of the things, again, is 50,000 U.S. troops. But if we're going to take Karg Island, I've seen the president say we're going to have to be on the island, and it's going to take a minute.
Yeah, and that's that. I didn't realize that 90% of the oil goes through that Karg. I don't even know how big it is. Yeah,
from Iran,
that's,
from their
that's
exports.
a huge amount.
Yeah. So ABC's Ian Pinnell says the operation to take Karg Island could be risky for U.S. service members and disruptive to the U.S. economy.
Firstly, it's only about 16 miles off the mainland coast of Iran, so easy to strike, puts US boots in harm's way. And secondly, if you think the impact on the economy has already been bad, well, this could get a whole lot worse.
Yeah, cut off that, and you've got more problems with oil prices, which are already up to something like $116 a barrel. I mean, anytime it goes north of $100 a barrel, you know that we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're feeling it. And, I saw several people there posting that in the Middle East, I can't remember if it was from Saudi Arabia or another Middle Eastern country, but they say they could see a time where oil is over $200 a barrel.
Yeah, that's spooky. And a lot of foreign ministers are trying to put an end to this conflict. Here's ABC's Matt Rivers, who is in Qatar with more on that.
There are some people trying to end this. So over the weekend, we saw the foreign ministers from Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey get together to try and build out a roadmap here. And they all said they had a good meeting and a positive meeting. And then the Pakistani foreign minister said he hopes that the U.S. and Iran will meet in the coming days. You know who wasn't at those meetings over the weekend? The U.S., Iran, or Israel. You would seem to need the countries at war to end the war.
It would also seem that if other countries are willing to take a stab at this and try to work some things out, that maybe we could have some level of mediation. Maybe it's time for some independent country to come in and try to set something up and at least get people talking, because we're hearing different things from the administration. One is Iran's talking to us, we're having good meetings, we're moving forward. The other was Iran saying, we don't know what you're talking about, we're not agreeing to anything. And I think there's some reason to believe there's some truth and some untruth in both of those. There's got to be something going on.
Well, certainly, if you have Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey, it's interesting to me, especially you heard Matt Rivers say, you know who wasn't here? Right? The key players. So yeah, it sounds like there are people trying to work on this issue, but when you have the key players not at the table, that seems to be a problem to me.
So it does appear that the administration comes out pretty strong and with some success, saying, look, we want this strait opened within X number of days, or we're going to do something drastic. We're going to destroy your infrastructure. And then as we get toward the end of that, it's a who blinks first kind of thing. And often the administration will say, okay, we're having some discussions. We'll give you 10 more days.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what happened last week, right? On the weekend, the president said you have 48 hours. And then by the end of the weekend, he said, okay, you get 5 additional days. And then as we got towards the end of last week, he said, okay, you can have 5 more days. But, one of the things, too, that the president said over the weekend is that he was weighing a military operation to extract nearly 1,000 pounds of uranium from Iran, which would be a complex and risky mission. This is according to the Wall Street Journal, because American troops would have to be on the ground in the country.
Yeah, and there are 50,000 in the area. I think there was something like 3,000 Marines that were deploying that, and there was Army and the top.
I know there's paratroopers.
Right.
Yeah, like the SEALs, the Navy SEALs, and the Green Berets.
Right. They
special
have
forces.
The top level forces there.
Yeah.
I mean, the people of Iran have every reason to believe that this could be escalated quite significantly. But the Iranian officials are saying, bring it. We're here. We're ready for you. And I think that their military leader said, "We'll burn the troops to the ground" or something like that. I mean, it was the dialogue between the two countries is not getting any better in terms of, hey, let's try to work something out. And Iran's every bit as much to blame as the United States, maybe more.
So I'm not sure Iran started this war.
Right. But I mean, in terms of dialogue, in terms of trying to get together and talk.
Look,
right.
I'm just saying, when I see that we're talking about reinstating the draft, when I see that Army recruitment age is increasing to the mid-40s, when I see that reservists who got out are having their time where they could be called back up extended by another year, I am concerned, right? I've got kids that age. I've got a son-in-law who was in the Army, in the Air Force Reserve. He finished his time. He was deployed twice. He got out last April. So if you're extending another year, then he could potentially be called back up for another year if we, see something happen where you need more people on the ground.
Talk about hitting close to home. I've got a son who is currently a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force, and he could go be deployed tomorrow and would have nothing to say about it if that's what they decided to do. I mean, it's a conversation we have periodically when we go to war or when we have problems and conflicts, and he's been to Afghanistan, he's been to South Korea, he's been other places, and will he go to Iran or one of our bases around there? Who knows?
So I'm looking at an article from military.com, which is, of course, like it sounds like a military site. And they say this: the arrival of ground forces does not mean a ground war has begun. It does, however, indicate that the United States is preparing for the possibility, and defense planning now reportedly includes options for limited ground operations, including targeted missions rather than a full-scale invasion. The presence of ground troops also alters the strategic calculus because once the troops are there, the time required to launch operations decreases dramatically. So they're trying to say, okay, so deterrence, we've got people there. They can be inside your country in a matter of hours, right? Instead of saying, well, we got to ship them from the United States. No, if they're sitting right there, right, that's a consideration. So
call our bluff at your own peril.
Call our bluff, right? You mentioned the game of chicken, right? So, yeah, that's the latest update. Last I saw, oil was somewhere up around 120 again.
Right, yeah, so. and growing every day.
Hey, we're going to keep an eye on all those things. But I will say this. So beauty giant Sephora is caught in the middle of an investigation into how their makeup is being marketed to children, with claims that their marketing is fueling an unhealthy obsession of skincare to minors. I want to talk to you about my 11-year-old granddaughter. Holy cow. We're going to talk more about what we know after the break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top local story this hour. The Saratoga Springs Fire and Rescue Team says they're seeing an increased number of calls of kids falling out of windows. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
These calls become more common as we get into the warmer months of the year because people are more likely to open up their windows and let the spring or summer air in. But there are ways to prevent these accidents from happening. Rescue teams recommend keeping furniture away from the windows to stop kids from climbing onto the ledge. And they recommend using a window stop or wedge to limit how far it can be opened.
Rescue teams say you can't depend on screens to prevent children from falling. Resort goers will now have a reason to attend Nordic Valley Ski Resort all year long. In hopes of becoming a four-seasons destination, the resort is adding 400 condos, 150 chalets, and 200 hotel rooms, along with a mountain coaster and a zip line.
Over 400 condos. They'll have over 150 chalets, over 200 hotel rooms, and then they'll have employee housing as well.
Sean Teagan with the Utah Foundation says the project will provide the local economy with more than 1,300 jobs. Construction begins next year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Airports are seeing huge improvements in security wait times today. ABC's Alex Stone with the latest.
A rapid change today now that money is appearing in TSA officers' bank accounts. Many are saying they see all or part of their back pay, and what a difference at Houston George Bush Intercontinental Airport, where the wait time had been 5 hours long at times last week. Now with TSA officers returning to work because they're getting paid today, the max wait time midday, 10 minutes.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 142 points, the S&P is down 12, and the NASDAQ is down 121 points. Coming up, spring showers are on the way. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement, and it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be six figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Ugh. Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Progressive knows you want to get away, but not like too away. You crave the unknown, but also charcuterie boards with 4 types of cheese. And that's exactly why you bought an RV and bundled it with Progressive, because 24/7 protection is one luxury you'll never have to give up. So go ahead, explore the wilderness, all from the comfort of your zero-gravity camp chair. Switch to Progressive and protect your RV, boat, or motorcycle by bundling with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Some stories are written in ink. Others are written in the heart. Experience the romance and the legend of Titanic, the exhibition. Now open in Sandy. Stroll the promenade under a starry sky. Stand before the grand staircase and connect with true stories of love and heroism that have captivated the world for over a century. Discover a date night or a family outing unlike any other. Tickets are moving fast. Book yours at thetitanicexhibition.com. Titanic, the exhibition at the shops at Southtown and Sandy.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Ongoing construction still causing delays for drivers eastbound on Pioneer Crossing approaching I-15, and they're still working on this crash northbound I-15 in Lehigh. As you're approaching Lehigh's Main Street, it's still on the right. Replenish Landscape Garden Products provides the highest quality compost and soil blends for your lawns and gardens. Start your season right with Replenish. Visit replenishcompost.com. Replenish, it's the good stuff. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Some clouds and a high of 74 in the forecast today. Then we'll see a cool down and some rain over the next few days. Tuesday will be in the mid-60s, Wednesday 60, and Thursday 54 degrees. Right now it's partly cloudy and 70 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So, Greg, I think you know we're raising a granddaughter. She's 11. She's a digital native. She grew up with iPhones and tablets. She's still growing up. Let me just clarify.
I was going to say 11.
She's on. So she does get on my Instagram account and she'll scroll. And she has a skincare routine like I've never had one in my entire life, including now. She's like needs these different products. And I still am like, you know, you're too young for makeup, I think. So she can wear some lip gloss. But I am telling you, she is out there saying, Mom, let's go check this out. In fact, she told me over the weekend, she said, Billie Eilish has a new perfume. Can we go look at it? It's like $80 for a 1 ounce bottle of perfume, which may be normal, but for an 11-year-old?
Yeah, who's marketing to kids that age? What
Sephora.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So Sephora is marketing, and they're, of course, a beauty giant. And my daughter/granddaughter, she absolutely knows Sephora, and she wants to go to Sephora, and she wants to shop at Sephora, and her friends in 6th grade want to get gift cards to Sephora for their birthdays. And I'm like, holy cow. Well, in Italy, people are saying, you actually can't do that. You're fueling an obsession with skincare among minors, including some under 10, which I can totally see that. They're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and here's ABC's Allison Cossack with more about that investigation in Italy.
Italian regulators who launched the investigation claimed the company's products, such as face masks, serums, and anti-aging creams, appeared to be marketed by very young micro-influencers. These regulators claiming these practices are linked to the broader issue of cosmetic orexia, an obsession with skincare among minors.
I've never heard of that.
I've never
wouldn't have
heard
even
that word
expected it
either.
to be a problem, but
Cosmetic rexia.
Their regulators have found that to be problematic. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I just didn't realize that a government could, I guess is what would be regulating something like that.
That's what we're doing, though, here in the United States. And in Utah, we're talking about social media companies. You can't do it that way.
Absolutely, but we're talking about a company that markets skincare products. That seems a little different. I don't know. I know what you're saying. It just seems like, I don't know.
One of the things, yeah, but one of the things that I've seen already is that I mean, you know this. It makes common sense. When you're 10 and 11 and 12 years old, your skin is different than an adult's skin, especially somebody my age, right? Where I might be thinking, okay, is there something I can do for the bags under my eyes besides getting more sleep? Because that's never going to happen, right?
Right.
But their skin is different. It's not as thick. They can have like a rash. They can have a reaction because they're putting stuff on it that's not meant for 10-year-olds.
Right, yeah, and in that light, here's ABC News parenting reporter Bethany Braun Silva on how this actually can affect kids.
They see their mothers, older siblings, influencers, and mimicry is developmentally normal at this age. But the difference here is that brands are now marketing directly to them. Many experts are worried about that appearance obsession, anti-aging messaging trickling down, kids equating these products to self-worth.
And I think, to me, this makes sense from the same type of perspective we're seeing with social media companies being held accountable for marketing, for example, making their stuff addictive. And we just had those 2 trials result in judgments against social media companies. So one in New Mexico brought by the state of New Mexico for harm, and the other one for marketing to minors, and the other one in California, if you remember, to a specific person, a young woman who said, your algorithms caused me to become addicted.
Okay, so there's harm. And anytime you have a lawsuit, you have to have harm,
right,
or at least to get damages. So I guess what I would be curious about here is there harm in giving a child whose skin hasn't developed, I guess, skincare products? I guess some medical professionals do say that.
Yeah,
that,
and
that
there,
could
I mean,
cause harm.
even in my own household, Jazzy has tried some stuff where she got an immediate rash. We're like, okay, like we need to be better at reading labels, so I've been better. But this is from the story from Reuters talking about Italy investigating Sephora. They say the investigations were opened over concerns that important information such as warnings and precautions for cosmetics not intended for or tested on minors may have been omitted or presented in a misleading manner, adding that kids under the age of 10 to 12 were among those the brands were targeting. And let me just point this out, that Sephora on social media has a tag called Haul from Sephora for Kids, which has hundreds of videos on TikTok of kids as young as 5 buying makeup and adult skincare products in Sephora stores.
Yeah, it is hard to believe, hard to imagine. I don't know the chemical composition of these things enough. I guess apparently some medical professionals have weighed in and say, no, you don't want to give kids skincare products at that age. It could cause harm. They could last them because their skin is so much more sensitive at that age. Like you say, it could cause rash, things like that. It's also, I think, I guess I'm starting to be won over to your cause here a little bit, because first I thought, who cares? It's skincare. But if your kids are getting obsessed with how their
just
skin
think of like
and things
retinol,
like that. Right? Yeah.
Right. I mean,
right.
You don't put that on young skin, retinol.
Right.
So it's an interesting to me. It's one more piece in this social media puzzle where people and organizations, countries are trying to find what's the right line between they have the ability to market, they have the ability to have a platform and a product. What does that mean overall, right? Because this is no longer, I think, just the public square. I think there's pretty much general agreement on that, except unless you're an owner of one of these mega companies.
So Sephora, for those of us, it's a makeup company that has stores, outlets just for makeup.
Yeah, and they carry other beauty products, so hair care essentials and and perfume, those kinds of things. I've seen some hair care products like a curling iron, so I can go. Just to date myself, right? You can use a curling iron for like $25, but there's some that are pushing north of $500 to get a curling iron with all the kinds of fancy accessories you now need to do your hair. But Sephora is makeup, skincare, and other beauty products.
Yeah, and the Italian authorities that are investigating this call their marketing particularly insidious. I mean, they're quite concerned about what's happening here and the influencers that are marketing skincare products to kids.
And I would say, and a texter just brought this up as well, it's not just that it could be harmful to their skin, it's harmful to their self-esteem.
That's what I was thinking, the bigger picture.
Yeah,
right.
So when you're 8 and 9 and 10, and we know body dysmorphia is one of the harms that can come from social media, meaning that you have a warped view of what a body is supposed to look like. And if you think that these Instagram, all of these social media reels, and they're run through filters, right? And you're an average 10-year-old, you're looking at that and going, well, I don't meet that image. I need to go get all these products, and I need to diet, and I need to do these things. That's not healthy. That's not healthy.
Well, and we saw what happened last week. Couple of juries, one in California, one I think was in New Mexico. The New Mexico one was an administrative procedure, but a California jury last week found Meta and YouTube liable for harming a young user on their platforms, which they said were addictive. So I could see this working into the same type of thing that Sephora is marketing in an addictive way with their young influencers. I think
yeah, it's like anorexia, but anyway, it's a disorder with cosmetics. Yeah, so we'll follow that and how much that maybe is adopted in the United States. We'll see. When we come back, though, Greg, you're going to have closing arguments, and I have some fun facts. But I have to tell you, did you hear the story where 12 tons of Kit Kat bars were stolen from a truck in Italy?
What are you going to do with those? In Italy, they're marketing to the children.
Oh, my gosh. They still haven't been found. We're going to talk about the great Kit Kat heist when we come back.
Imagine a world where you can leave the house and take your home Wi-Fi speeds with you. Thanks to Xfinity Mobile, it's not just a fantasy. Just picture it. You're at your kid's soccer practice streaming the other game in 4K. Just like that. In the airport, download a cozy family comedy in a snap with Wi-Fi Power Boost. What if the places you had to be felt more like everywhere you wanted to be? That's the magic of Xfinity Mobile. Reliable Wi-Fi and 5G when you need it. Xfinity. Imagine that. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Visit XfinityMobile.com to learn more. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus regular rates for 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees, extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Xfinity. Imagine that.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Eden K is a women's boutique in Pleasant Grove offering size-inclusive fashion, personal styling, and confidence-building experiences. Through styling sessions and community events, they help women feel confident and empowered in everyday life. Fashion stylist and image consultant Pua Lei Lin joins us with more.
Self-image is the foundation of who we believe we are, what we deserve, and is the place from where we create. It shapes everything else in our lives. Two people with identical skills can perform very differently based purely on how they see themselves. After launching my image consulting and styling services in 2021, I discovered that even high-achieving women can struggle with low self-image, often tying their worth to performing, over-functioning, and external success. Through my unique framework of coaching and styling, I guide women to build a powerful, loving self-image rooted in internal self-validation rather than outside approval. This shift from seeking validation to embodying it has been transformative for my clients, empowering them to show up more confidently and contribute to the world in even bigger ways. Learn more and find out how to work with me at EDYNKEI.com.
By creating welcoming spaces for women to grow in confidence and connection, Eden K is making a meaningful impact across Utah, helping women embrace their personal style and feel empowered. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
This is really troubling, Holly, but Kit Kat bars are missing.
1, 2, 3, 4. Give me a break. Give me a break.
Break me off a piece of the Kit Kat bar. Okay, Nestle says 413,000 Kit Kat bars weighing 12 tons were stolen en route from Italy to Poland. I guess they're made in Switzerland. They drive through Italy on their way to Poland. Somebody stole the truck, and they can't even find the truck, let alone the Kit Kat bars.
So look, somebody must have been really hungry. I do remember a few years ago there was maybe it was even just last year, a whole lot of eggs that were stolen back on the East Coast. I think they eventually solved that. The whole truck went missing. But yeah, that was a funny story that caught my eye today. 413,793.
And can you imagine the
Kit Kat
bandits?
bars.
Oh, we got this truck. It's full. It's probably got motorcycles or Italian,
I don't.
a Porsche
Don't
or something.
you think
Open
they
it up
knew?
and it's got Kit Kat bars.
I don't know.
How are you going to market them? What are you going to do? Right.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they're giving them out and that for Easter. I don't know.
I didn't realize Kit Kat bars were so popular. 12 tons just going from Italy to Poland.
Well, it's for shipping, right?
Yeah,
If they have to ship them all.
That's a lot.
Anyway, so if you're not familiar with Kit Kat bars, they're crunchy, little cookie covered with chocolate. Anyway, you can find them all over the United States. But apparently you cannot find them in between Italy and Poland.
Yeah, not going to be any Poland for a while.
I have a short story that I thought was interesting too. In fact, our producer Caitlin Johnston pointed it out to me this morning. Air Canada, so you know that they just had that plane crash, that really terrible plane crash where the 2 pilots died. Air Canada announced on Monday, today, that its CEO will retire later this year. It was not because of the crash.
Yeah, this was
It was
interesting.
related
This was
to the
wild
crash.
because of comments he made after the crash.
Because he didn't make them in French.
That's just wild to me. Because he spoke in English.
Yeah.
And he said a couple
English
of French
only.
words. Right. He said
English
merci
only.
or something and
Merci.
threw in something like that. And so he's resigning because he didn't give the press conference in
both languages.
French.
So what was interesting to me is French-speaking Quebec, Canada. That's where Air Canada is based, and Canada is officially a bilingual nation. Prime Minister Mark Carney said his decision to retire is appropriate, and he said it is essential that the next CEO of Air Canada is bilingual, saying that his English-only message showed a lack of compassion and judgment.
Goodbye.
So
you're fired. You're done. You're out of
so
here.
So he's stepping down.
I notice a lot of their public officials, especially the higher ups, are bilingual. You speak
you have to
fluently
be.
because that country has a French part and an English part. And I think you have to, if you're going to be leader in that country, you should know both languages.
So Quebec is French speaking, and it was originally, of course, colonized by the French, while most of the rest of Canada was by the England. But it's been contentious since the 1760s. But I don't know if you remember, it hasn't been that many years. Quebec is saying we're going to secede. We want to have more recognition about our history, about our language, and so they do have an official policy for being bilingual. And I guess one of the two pilots killed in the crash was a French-speaking Quebecois, and people were offended.
Yeah, that's taking offense to a pretty extreme level, but I guess I can understand it.
Look, I want, if I live in a country where I'm speaking one language and the other language is the one that's being used and it's official, then let's, respect that. Okay, yeah. I have some fun facts.
Good.
Okay, today is actually World Bipolar Disorder Day. And a couple of weeks ago, you might remember we had a guest on who is a therapist who deals with bipolar disorder. We had a really great conversation. It was super interesting about different treatments and different modalities. And today is a day to really bring awareness to that disorder. So that is one of my fun facts for the day.
It like I say, it hit close home to me because I had a law partner who committed suicide as a result of his bipolar disorder, and probably the most brilliant lawyer I've ever known in my life. It was just tragic.
One of my students in my class just did a speech on bipolar disorder because her boyfriend's mom has bipolar disorder, and she went and talked to her and interviewed her, and then she educated us. Okay, I want to tell you, on this day, March 30th, Mary Elizabeth Bowser was born. Have you ever heard of her before?
I have, but I don't know in what context.
So she was a former slave. So this was 1839 was when she was born. So it would have been, and she was in her 30s. She worked as a servant in the home of Confederate President Jefferson Davis. So, of course, you can understand the racial prejudices of the day. People assumed that she was illiterate, that she couldn't read, she was too dumb to understand what was happening. But in reality, she was actually a freed slave, and she worked at the behest of Ulysses S. Grant. She was a servant. I said that for Confederate President Jefferson Davis, she was a spy. And so because they assumed servants just kind of disappeared into the background, people didn't pay attention to them. So what I think happened here, they would leave maps out. They would talk about their attack plans, and she would just feed it back to the Union, right? Because people thought she was too dumb to understand what was happening.
What a perfect foil.
Yay, Mary.
Good for her.
On this day in 1867, the U.S. bought Alaska from Russia. We paid, at the time, $7.2 million, which was roughly 2 cents an acre. Now, people in Congress, they thought it was ridiculous that we were paying that much for this Alaskan wilderness.
Can you imagine, though, if Russia was that close to us? If that was still a Russian.
I know, right? On this day in 1981, that's the day that Ronald Reagan was shot in an assassination attempt by John Hinckley.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I was in law school, and I was working at a law firm, and I remember we went to lunch and we were talking and we saw that, and I thought, boy, what's going on right now? Reagan, like him or not, was so influential, and even in terms of my career as a lawyer, things that he did, things that he started and changed were probably as influential as any president in my career.
Do you remember, the shooter was John Hinckley Jr. Do you remember why he shot the president?
He was crazy about Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get her attention.
Yeah, he thought that would impress him if he shot and killed the president of the United States. So interesting. But I also remember
what happened on that case?
No.
He was found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
And it changed the way that we define insanity in this country completely. As a result of that particular case, we redefined insanity. We used to have a standard of I'm sorry, I'm taking up a lot of your time here.
No, you're closing arguments.
We used to have a rule that defined insanity. That case changed it, and it made it much more difficult for somebody in America to be proven not guilty by reason of insanity, because people were so upset because they sat there and watched him. They saw this happen on live TV, and it was calculated, and it was cruel, and it was directed toward the President of the United States, and people said never again. And so we changed nationally the definition of insanity. And anyway.
I do remember also, though, that James Brady was shot, and he had a really significant brain injury. And when he died in 2014, that was a homicide. They ruled it a homicide because of the injury he sustained in this attack.
Yeah, we forgot about him and his involvement in it. And that changed rules.
It did.
We have the Brady Bill as
Yep.
a response to that. So things happen in that regard.
So now it's your turn. What are your closing arguments?
I think I just gave it.
Yes.
But I do want to say something if I have a minute. I don't think we can in any way understate the importance of what the Supreme Court is hearing on Wednesday when we talk about birthright citizenship. And I'll tell you why. Birthright citizenship aside, there are going to be challenges to the Constitution of the United States. Maybe it will be whether a president can run for a third term. Maybe it will be other things. And we're going to get an idea from our Supreme Court to what extent they're willing to revisit the Constitution. Now, this is something that was passed in 1868. What's that, 160 years ago, and nobody's had any problems with it. In fact, we've had case after case after case after case saying, well, the language is clear. You're born in the United States. You're a U.S. citizen. The Supreme Court is hearing that case now. They're hearing it for a reason, Holly, because they want to make a decision. Because every court that's looked at it below has said you can't do this. Mm-hmm. It would be easy for the Supreme Court to say, okay, why would we upset that? Because every court's already decided that it's the law, and we're not going to change that. They're hearing that. That scares me. That scares me as a lawyer, and it scares me as a constitutional expert, to the extent I am, that we're revisiting that. But maybe we'll set up straight and say it's the law of the land and it's going to be that way. But if they change that, you watch what happens with other constitutional provisions.
Yeah, I know people want to go after the 19th Amendment, which gives me the right to vote.
Yeah. Well, the attorneys for Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, are asking the judge to push back his preliminary hearing date. Midday with Maria Chaleos is up next with that and more details of today's news. Stay with us.
KSL FM